Welcome to the Big Cats Women's Program 30th Anniversary Podcast. I'm your host, Simone Wern, and over the next few episodes we'll be celebrating 30 years of women's baseball at the Springvale Lions Baseball Club. Join us as we share the stories and the moments that have helped shape our program and make it what it is today. This week in episode 7, we're joined by the kids, Lil BT, Gab and Baylin. After spending a few episodes hearing many of the memories from way back when, this week we hear a different perspective from the younger generation, the next wave of stars to wear the Lions jersey. So come along and celebrate what has been a great 30 years full of memories and laughs. Let's get into it. All right, welcome, episode 7. We've got our first array of 3 guests this evening. How are we, girls?
Good.
Are we excited to be here? Are we nervous? Tell me.
Both.
Yeah, very excited.
Yeah, excited but nervous.
Yep. Episode 7. You've probably listened to a few. We've given this one the name The Kids for obvious reasons, although we're sitting here with 3 very adult women who are clearly not children. But around our Springy family, you're still known as The Kids, and I hope it's an affectionate name. And it's probably one that I keep going. And you probably have forever, actually, I must say. I'm really excited to have you guys here. I'm hopeful that you're listening to the other podcasts. And what I think's great about what we're doing is listening to the history of the club. Obviously, 30 years is a long time. You guys haven't been around for that long. I've been around a lot longer. But one thing I'm hopeful about over the next couple of months is that you guys get to learn more about the people who came before you, because obviously you hear from me and about me and Shay and Chevy and a lot of those girls often. Some of us talk about ourselves more than others. I think I speak less about myself, but Shay, it's a shout out to you. We'll come back to Shay a little bit later. We love Shay. But this is a chance for you guys to have a voice, because you have become a really big part of the club, and we're sitting here talking about the kids, but you've also been around the club now for a few years. Even the little baby of the 3 of you who's sitting to my left has now played in the state team for a few years, been to the showcase, and is making her own way in the game. So I wanted to go back to the start before we get into anything and have a bit of a look in the memory at the memories of when we first started. And we were talking about this off air, Gab, and saying, when did I start playing? And it was the 2015-16 season, and I was coaching Division 3, and you came into the team. Some of the listeners may not know you were a catcher back in the day. Mm-hmm. In fact, you're starting to do a bit more catching now, but you came into the thirds, you were catching. We had Deb, who was pitching, so you've come in as this little... You were little. You're still little.
I'm still little, yeah.
This little kid playing with a not so little group of women. You obviously had a few other sort of kids around you. Like I know H played that season for her first season too. Yep. But tell us what it was like coming in and playing your first season all those years ago.
It was really exciting. Like the whole thing. It was probably my first time being around that many women that were a lot older than me. So that was very interesting. You had Deb, and then you had Robsy and Sue, who were like the grandmas of the group, really. And I don't think they'd mind me saying that. So it was very interesting. And then like learning from them was massive for me. Like I sort of thought I knew a bit about baseball and how to play. And then you sort of play in the threes and you think, holy crap, like it's actually a completely different game when you start playing seniors. So it was a very cool season. Got to catch to Deb. That was a lot of fun. And I fondly remember that now, even over winter when she's around or when she comes to summer games, like we'll chat about it. She had such an interesting pitch, like lobbing it.
Just the one.
Yeah, just the one pitch, yeah. She gets so pissed off at the umpires because they couldn't call it right. But I really enjoyed it because they mostly just came straight to me, so it was actually quite easy to catch. I remember a lot of people complaining about it, but I thought it was all right. You just had to wait there patiently, and it got there eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun and sort of was my first introduction to the women's program in Springvale as well. I'd sort of known a couple of the girls that are involved who play at Berwick over winter, because that's where I started. So I'd sort of know a few of them, but then it was my first introduction to Springy and sort of that culture, and started to feel like, hey, like this is somewhere I feel really comfortable and sort of feels like home.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. It's very cool. I was stalking...
Is that off my mum's Facebook?
I was stalking one of my besties, Cass Ward. Shout out to Cass. She's just one of the best humans
Where's your
going
players
around.
dog?
I found this on
game.
her Facebook page, and she was so excited because this was your first, and I quote, first game for the Big Cats. And it was
actually.
October 2016. So you came the season after Gab.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a Bomb Beach girl, and you played there. I don't think they had an opportunity for you to play women's at the time.
No.
And so you knew some of the girls, and obviously had played in the Mariners sort of stuff and were involved in that. What are your first memories of coming to the club and being around the girls?
It was honestly terrifying because I'd played at Bomb Beach the whole time I'd ever played baseball, and I'm all of a sudden coming to this club where I knew Gabby, but we weren't
friends.
We weren't friends, to put
Ouch.
it.
Ouch.
Like we'd done like those school holiday camps and stuff together, but we were both shy little kids. We weren't talking to each other, and I think I was lucky enough that I knew Emily, and we started at the same time. So I suppose I had a friend, but you're coming to this club where everyone tells you, these are the best players in the world, and you're never going to get to coached by anyone better, and it's scary. You don't know anything, but you still want to be good enough to play with these people, and you want them to like you. And it was scary, but it was probably the best decision that I've ever made to come and play at Springvale.
Very cool. And I think it's cool to be honest about, the fact that it can be scary. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk to all three of you about. I mean, coming into a program that's been around for so long with so much history and so many, not everyone plays for Victoria, Australia, goes to World Cups, but a lot of our players have. And so being in that environment can be quite intimidating. I have no doubt about that. And some of the older players who are much older than you talk about that too. BT, you're not big on social media. Your father isn't either, and I'm disappointed, Matt Tanner, that I was stalking your Facebook and there was nothing to be found. So what I did check that too. One of those photos will come up. It's unfortunate for you. You have a very mixed array of photos. But don't freak out. Don't get angry with me. But I found this amazing pose. And it's not a Springvale photo. Oh yes.
Yeah.
But it is a brilliant pose, and we were just talking off air about the Melbourne tournament, and we'll talk about that later, how cool that's become. But talk us through you coming to the club, and you St Kilda, grew up a St Kilda girl, and your dad's still really heavily involved at St Kilda, and we've got one of our other players, EJ Jenkinson, came from St Kilda more than 10 years ago. Again, look, you were looking for opportunity and some high-level coaching. What's it been like for you as one of the younger ones coming in? And a lot of the girls are older, so there are a few girls who are sort of your age, but you have been the younger one. Tell us about your experience so far.
Yeah, well, coming to the club, I think we worked out it was probably end of summer 2018, 2019, because I think that was about the time, and I was so scared to come. I was very nervous and scared. I don't think I talked to many people. Took me a really long time, but I just knew that I was going to stay here ever. I just loved it, even though I didn't talk to anyone. I know I played with Aspen in my first Div 3 season, and I don't even remember becoming friends with her. I don't think I spoke to her, and then all of a sudden we were friends. But yeah, it was great, and I obviously knew you two from Mariners. I knew Em and the rest of the gang. But I was still the young one there because that was my first time playing with all girls. And as soon as I came to Springvale, I think I immediately quit juniors and I stopped playing mix and just started playing with the women because it was such a better environment for me to learn and grow. And obviously Shay was the coach of Mariners, so it was good to know.
Yeah,
her
cool.
And,
Very
I missed
cool.
That. I missed that so much.
It's a very good photo. I'm assuming Matt took that.
No, I think we got
hang on,
we
it
got
was
Nicole Reid to come
That's
to
a
the Melbourne
professional
women's
photo.
club.
Yeah, it was a
shoot.
professional, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
she
even
took
better.
portraits of a bunch.
Fantastic.
Yeah, she took some of me.
A bunch of the women.
You won't find
Jeanette's probably got those hanging on the wall
they're
somewhere
I
at
didn't
home.
share them with her, so no.
I was going to say, I think they're on her website. Oh,
Don't say that.
Get on there, Jeanette. Probably get a
Yeah.
discount because they're a bit old. Well done. That's a very good photo. I like that. We've got a bit of an agenda, and I'm going to try and stick to this. We're going to talk about your group and the kids. We're going to talk a little bit about winning. We're going to talk about some of the mentors that the three of you have had, the opportunities you've had at the club so far, because the journey's kind of just starting for you guys. I'm hopeful that you guys sort of take over and I can just sit on the side and have a few more quiet waters whilst I watch. And then we'll look at some photo memories and see if I can jog your memory. I've got a bit of a quiz at the end. So if you've been watching, hopefully you've... Yes, and you'll be graded at the end.
Oh, I still have that lion head.
The reason I love this photo is just because I just remember how crazy Yuki was and the craziness she brought. And then when you mix that in with Toro, there was just this... What a funny sort of little time that was. Do you guys remember this photo?
Yes.
Do you remember that night?
I've got it up on my wall in my bedroom, actually. I printed it out because it's a good memory from a night that we won. Obviously, got the T-shirts that you'd pre-made. A bit confident. But we won, and then on a night where typically you have more than water, there was a bunch of juniors who couldn't participate really in the alcohol drinking. We sat in a circle and we played Uno, and it was the best fun. I look at that photo and I think, gee, like it's just such a fun place to be. And it's a good memory that I'll probably always have of just sitting there with my mates after winning. Not all of us got on the field. Pretty sure that day the twos were in the final as well, which we didn't win.
Correct.
Which
Lost
I think,
to Essendon.
yes, which most of us would have been a part of. I think Em might have been the only one who was in the ones for that one. A couple of us were on the bench. But at the end of the day, you come together with your mates, whether you win or lose, no matter what team you're playing. And you can have fun like that, like everyone's smiling.
Do you still have the lion head
Yeah, it's in my cupboard.
your house?
Yeah, it's in my cupboard, yeah. I saw it the other day and I was like, oh, still have that.
That's
It could
quite
come in
funny.
handy.
You could have worn that on the podcast. That would have been a winner.
I would not be doing that. But thank you.
Could have brought it in for the rest of us.
No.
This was a couple of years ago when we beat Essendon at Essendon. And we can see Mo in there. I thought I would have loved Mo to have been here. Of course, she's gallivanting around Europe, half her luck, and loving life. But I think for you three in particular, Mo's been sorry, for those listening, I'm talking about Aspen. My nickname for her is Mo. But I think Mo's played a role in the journey for all of you, and you've all sort of played in different teams. And Aspen's not dissimilar to you guys. She's played in the threes, the twos, and the ones. But talk to me a little bit about Mo as your mate, but also as the springy person, because Mo to me is one of those, and I wanted to give her a special shout out because I know she'll listen to this. She lives miles away, and a few other clubs have sort of reached out at different times and said, will you live closer to here and come, and I've always said to her when she needs to go and be closer to home or whatever, I would never stop her and I would totally understand. And her response to me so far, thank you Mo, is I'm Springy's my family and this is where I want to be. But I feel like she's been a great support. She hasn't always been on the field in the ones. I think last season she was on the field more than she's ever been. She did a great job on the mound. But what's she been like for you guys, being your friend and being a teammate in the different teams, and how's that relationship blossomed over the last few years? Do you want to start, Lil?
Yeah, sure. Aspen's probably one of my really good friends, and I'd say a really close friend too. Again, don't quite remember the origins, but actually before Springvale, I remember playing her on the there was two-team competition yonks ago, and I remember getting my first hit, maybe ever, against girls, and she was playing first base, and she just caught it immediately, and that's my first memory of her. But at Springvale-wise, I think we're probably the closest in age. She's a year older than me. But yeah, love of High School Musical, love of Disney. We've got the same interests, and she's also a great teammate. She's always there to support me when I lose it on the field or something like that. But yeah, we've kind of gone Div 2, Div 3, Div 3, Div 2, Div 1 together. And yeah, I don't know, best friend.
Yeah, awesome.
I think Aspen's great. I think you know how committed she is purely because she drives 2 hours every week. I love being on a team with her. She's able to sometimes separate and make baseball fun, even if you're losing, if something's not going right. I think she's great to have around because she's able to take your mind off it for a couple minutes. She's great to have on the bench. And she's great at what she does as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd say something pretty similar. She's a really good teammate, not only to have on the bench, like she loves to do the charting and do the scoring, which is really helpful for everyone. Like it's something that if you're on the field, you don't really have time to do, but it's very helpful to have. But she's just a good teammate, like supporting everyone, not just her friends. Like she's not necessarily probably friends with everyone at the club, but no one is. But she'll support anyone who's on her team, which is something that's probably a bit undervalued, I think, and harder to come across than you'd think. She's a really good teammate, and obviously, she drives from Geelong every week, but probably also a shout out to Stu, who does and did a lot of the driving for her when she was
Papa Mo,
junior.
We salute you.
That's a massive commitment. That's to drive your kid 2 hours when there's probably 5 other clubs on the way, just because that's where her friends are and that's where she wants to play. Like that's a massive thing. And then to continue that once she's got her licence, it just sort of shows the relationships that she's built and that you can build.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to bring up footage of you and Aspen pulling my camera down in centre field and doing a take. You did about 3 takes. Yeah. It was very entertaining, but I didn't want to embarrass you too much. Before we go to the next photo, I do want to send a shout out to, and you'll probably mention them a little later, but I want to shout out to your families and in particular your dad, Matt, who I just love him. Matt is so easygoing and he loves baseball. It's a shame he's a Dodgers fan. He's almost the perfect
Go
mate.
Dodgers.
But Matt has been a great support of not only you but of the club, and he's always involved and always helping out and always wants to find a way to help you and to help the Big Cats. So a big shout out to Matt. Your amazing mother, she's one of the best humans going around. And I was talking about her at home in my kitchen last night, saying that, you meet these people in your life, and Cass and I have known each other a little while. Obviously, since you started playing, we sort of became mates. And, I was going through a hard time last year, had a lovely new little boy in my house and wasn't sleeping, and she's bringing lasagnas to the club, and the little things like that are the things that we don't talk about publicly and people don't hear about, but they're so great. So Cass, you are just an absolute star, and Mark's not bad either. Tats, miss you. So a shout out to them and to Jeanette. I mean, Jeanette has driven you around. I know not for a couple of years now, but there was,
she still does occasionally.
4 or 5 solid years where Jeanette was like taking you, and it was like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, juniors, seniors, volunteering, doing Diamond, all these amazing things. And you're really lucky because, I know that there's parents out there that wouldn't do that. And so to Jeanette, shout out to you, and a big thank you for all your support. And all of your parents have all done stuff to help the club as well. So, a massive, massive thing for you, but also for us, doesn't go unnoticed. I couldn't talk about the kids without bringing up this photo. And I love that last season we had a kid, and Sour Gummy, as I affectionately call her, was, she came in and didn't speak a heap of Japanese. I remember Lil. Sorry,
she spoke a lot of Japanese.
She spoke really good Japanese.
For everyone out there, she spoke a lot of Japanese. Yourself, your dad, and I did a Zoom with Sour Gummy before she came out just to find out a bit more about her. And my favourite story of that was, and you and Matt obviously know a little bit of Japanese, and you're chatting away. I didn't know what was happening.
I mean, not so much.
No, you were pretty good. And then the question comes up, and she's sort of saying to Matt in Japanese, you know, what position, like where will I play? And I said, oh, can you hit? Can you do any hitting? And no, just pitcher only, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we've got DHs, it's fine. And then she finished like third in our batting average and hit 3 and became one of the best hitters in the league. So there you go.
Yeah.
That Zoom was a lie.
It was so good. It was just like, no. It was like immediately, no hitting.
Hard no. Didn't know a lot of English, and you know.
Yeah.
But you guys took her out down Great Ocean Road, had a bit of fun down there. How much fun was it, and I'm going to flick forward to here, but how much fun was it having a kid around last season who was closer in age to you guys, and she was a lot of fun.
I think maybe we worried a little bit about the language barrier because must be terrifying for her to come to a country where she speaks barely any English. But she worked so hard at it, and she spoke to us in English all the time. And even when she wasn't, you didn't even need to speak to her. She's just so happy, and she's really good to be around. She was incredible.
She was like easy to hang out with.
So
wasn't
easy,
she?
yeah.
Yeah, she was really good. I think I was probably fortunate to come off the back of a 2-month stint in Japan where I was sort of in the opposite role to Sawa, where everyone was trying to speak English to me to make it easy for me. I don't know a lick of Japanese, really. But we got on very well, so I was like, no, Sawa. I was like, made a really concerted effort to try and help her understand, even like when you or Shay Shay was a bit better because she could speak a bit Japanese, but when people would explain stuff to her in English and you sort of like, did you understand? And she was really good actually at saying, no, I didn't understand.
Yes, she was.
Which in the past has not always been something that people have said.
Yeah.
But she was really good, and her English got so much better while she was here. But
she was taking I think 4 or 5 English classes in the city.
Yeah, she was really good. And when you would ask her, how was your day? Like, she wouldn't just say, oh, good. And like the standard response, like she'd try to tell you what she did and what she was doing, and like you'd ask about her family. Like I drove her home and drove her to games a fair bit, and you sort of actually got to know her, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But even if there was that language barrier, like she's just such a happy, bubbly person. I don't think it really would have mattered in the end. She was such a phenomenal baseball player, but a really good teammate, just happy, was involved in all the programs that we had at the club as well. Like it's the perfect import, really. Couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah, she was great. I skipped through this one, but I had to bring this one up. Look at that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I threw that jacket out.
So much.
Look what's going on there. Can you explain that in a word or two, Lil?
We were young.
We were young.
That's just so peak. Like, you're not even millennials.
Hey!
Business cash to the club. I love it. I love it.
We're not at the club. We're at the Waltzy. Thank you.
It's overdressed for the Waltzy.
No, underdressed.
I love it.
It's a really classy establishment.
That's one of 50 of those photos. One of them might come up again.
Winnie.
But the next thing I want to talk about and sort of delve into a little bit is that you would have heard on the other podcast we've talked about the start of this program. None of you were here in 94, 95, and I was the 13-year-old coming into my first season when I turned 14. And we were horrible and just lost. And the three of you have not gone through that at all.
No.
Yeah, in fact, you've been all I do is win. I should probably play the song, but that's sort of what it's been like for you guys. I mean, you turned up and it was like from the very outset, that's Gab's first season, and it was a Div 3 premiership. Can you maybe talk me through what it's been like coming into a program where it is very successful and potentially you've been at other clubs and you've sort of haven't maybe had as much, or maybe you have had similar successes, but in this case it's sort of been win after win after win. And if not a win, it's been in a grand final preparing to win. So maybe if we start, Gab, with you, and you came in obviously in your first season and won.
Yeah. That one was really interesting. Even on the day, I wasn't, not that I wasn't there, but I wasn't that nervous or anything, I don't think. I was just young, I didn't really think about it. I thought, hey, another baseball game, that's fun. And then we won, and then Deb's crying, and I'm like, oh my God, this is serious business. People really care about this. And cause it's the first one that Deb had ever won, and I was like, wow, it was such a powerful moment for me, I think, as well, because I was like, oh, this is it really, really matters to people. Like, it's important, and I get that now, but I think as a 14, 13-year-old, I didn't quite grasp how important it was to people. I was just having fun playing baseball with people I liked. And then I still play with some of those people in that photo. Like, Janine, still play with her. And I don't think we've won a premiership together since that. We've played in a few, but we haven't won another one, I don't think, not in the twos. Not that I've been a part of with her.
Yeah.
So it's very special. That one especially, like, I just didn't, like, I guess I took it for granted a little bit, like how easy it was, because I didn't really think, I just did my little part and then everyone else did their bit and then we won. I was like, oh, this is great. And then since then, it's like, it's actually really fucking hard to win. I've played in a few like grand finals since then and we haven't won, and I'm like, fuck it, like, it really sucks. And I've been around for a few where we've won and I've maybe not played very well, or not, I've been on the bench supporting, which is still playing a role, but that was probably the only one where I've actually been a contributor of sorts. Yeah. So for me, I guess it's probably a bit of a different experience to some of these guys where they've been a part of it, played and won. But it taught me a good lesson. Like, it's, you got to savor those moments because they don't always come for you.
Absolutely. That's a really good perspective. I'm glad you mentioned that. And I'm glad you mentioned Janine. We're gonna have Janine on in a few weeks actually, because she's got an interesting. she's got some interesting stories.
Just do a Q&A about her life.
I'm gonna do. She's gonna be great. So she'll be on. But you make a good point. Like, you know, the opportunity's been there very frequently, but you know, you're right. Looking back on it, there hasn't been maybe the wins on the board. This is that day at Essendon, Baylin. And tell me about this. I have a fond memory of, so I was coaching this team and then I pitched in the ones. And I remember Mad Dog. Shout out to Mad Dog. Mad Dog probably won't listen, but shout out to Mad Dog if she ever listens. I better tag her now.
Yeah, just do a little clip and just send it.
Mad Dog, this is going on Insta. Mad Dog did a little speech at the start of this game and said that something a little bit similar to what Gab just said, but said, you know, let's go. Like, every year you play in a team, whatever team sport you play at club level, any level really, and the team is never the same. It's never the identical team. And if you look back through any of the photos of any of the teams, like, we've won 15 Div 1 flags. It's never once been the exact same team. The next season, there's always one or two different players, maybe three or four. And we went on to win that game and then obviously won the ones, and we won the two on the day. But I love looking at that photo just because there's so many different types of players.
Yeah, there is.
An amalgamation.
I mean, it's just what an interesting, and I think that's something kind of cool about our club too, is that there's all these different personalities. And as Gab said earlier, like, not everyone's mates or not everyone's good mates. No. But when the time comes to play, we find a way to make it work because we all love to wear the uniform and we all love the game. And somehow that works. I don't know if you guys feel the same about that, but that team, I think, epitomises just this eclectic group of...
That's a...
I don't want to call them randoms, but...
It's an interesting group of people, that one. I don't know how it worked. Whatever you thought up there, it worked.
Woo,
I think as well, every year it happens. Every Tuesday before the finals, you do your little spiel, and it's, you may never get to play in another grand final again, so just go out there. You've got nothing to lose. I think it helps. I think, you know, we go there on the Saturday and we're like, fuck, like, we may never get to do this again. And even if it is a motley crew, I suppose. I think you all want it. You all want to win at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter how much you like the people in your team and how well you get along. I think you all want it enough that it just falls into place if it's supposed to.
Yep, absolutely. This was, unfortunately for Gab and Lil, that she's just filled me in, this was at Cheltenham and Lil was not playing, but Gab, you were pitching and a couple of bad calls from Laurie on the day.
Yes.
Anyway, we didn't win that game. Essendon did play better on the day, just
They did.
putting that out there.
Yes, they did.
But, yeah, Baylin and I had a win. And I have fond memories, and I mentioned this when Minnie came on and Dodsy came on a few weeks ago. Because, again, such an interesting group of people and some young ones, but then a few older ones. And obviously Hannah and I and Toro had sort of not played as much that season and didn't want to take... I think that's important too. That's another part of this photo that probably I didn't speak about, but it would have been really easy that year for Hannah and myself and Toro to play in the ones and take other people's positions and potentially win that game. But we didn't do that. I'm not suggesting you, Gab. I'm just suggesting in general. But that's probably an important point, is that, you know, we sat down and had that discussion, and Shay might have potentially been pushing the point, and my response was, well, that's not happening because that's not what we do here. Yeah, but I don't think... We've not really talked about that publicly, I suppose, but I think that's important. But I have great memories of getting to play with you and at times with Gab and Lil. But this is one of my favourites, and obviously we had a good win that day. And I miss H. When I was going through my photos, I was like, oh, H-y. When you talk about easy people to be around, like how much fun was it to just... H used to come and talk to me during the game and be like, are we winning? And like usually I'd get really annoyed if someone didn't know the score, but I could never be annoyed with H. I was just like, no, we're not H. just keep going. Okay. This was the game at Essendon after the twos, and this was obviously a really fun day. This was an interesting one, and I'll talk to both of you, Gab and Lil, about obviously this season was the season and neither of you played, and Gab, you'd played most of the year in that team. And then the year we played Doncaster at Waverley.
The dreaded day.
And we lost. We won this one. But, you know, and this is why I love you guys anyway, but I have even more respect because I deal with a lot of young people in my job and in other parts of my life. And it's hard to find people that are committed and who love what they do and are passionate and are respectful and support the people around them and are good team people. And I remember at the time like how hard that would have been for you guys. But you never showed it. I'm sure it was hard. And it's been hard, but just talk us through maybe, and Lil, you start, like, what was it like being there and knowing you might come in, but you weren't starting, but knowing that, you know, you were still part of it, but you weren't necessarily on the field. Talk us through what that was like.
Yeah, I feel like I remember that day. I don't have a full memory of that day or a few others, but I just remember being like, this is kind of a big deal, like being like not even knowing if I was going to go on the field or not, but just being there in that, like on the bench, like it's a big deal to do that now to this day. And yeah, I just remember I still do have the attitude that I've just got to support people, really hope that they win and I don't take the field. Especially this day, I was like, you guys are going to win it, you're going to do it, come on. But yeah, I'm always just trying to get around my teammates and try and get them, if I'm not on the field, try and get them to be the best of ability, crack a few jokes. I'm sure I was Batgirling, love a Batgirl.
Very talented.
But yeah, it was really nerve-wracking. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say except that the fact it was really nerve-wracking, and I'm shaking my leg now because I'm still nervous. But yeah, it's so fun to get to watch people play, and you learn so much from being around like all these people and watching the game happen, seeing who's out in the outfield, watching them play. Yeah. And yeah, it's just like the best. I love being on the bench. It's the best experience.
Gab? That was very well said, by the way, Lil.
A little bit different to Lil, I think. It was hard for me personally, I think, knowing that I probably wouldn't play unless you pitched that day and you pitched really well, which is good. I was very happy for you. I'd like to preface that. But I knew that in order for me to come in, like, you'd probably have to suck, which is not good. Like, we want the team to win. So it was a hard one. Obviously, I didn't let anyone see that. I worked on that in my own time because I'm not an idiot. I knew I probably wasn't going to play. So I sort of prepared for that beforehand and made my peace with that and knew that my job is to support the team. Like, it's not like I'm going out there watching people I hate go play baseball instead of me. I'm still part of the team. I've contributed.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Woo,
And, I've contributed throughout the season in whatever aspect I have. And I've got a job to do on the day. Like, no matter who's on the bench, that's your job to support your teammates. Like, you still want them to win. I'm very happy that I got to see you pitch really well and the team play well and we got the win. Like, I'm still part of that. Not on the field, which is... You feel a bit different. Like, you feel a bit like, well, you guys won. Good job. But if you distance yourself from it a bit, like, you are still part of it. It takes an entire season to make that game. And then even on the day, like, the support that Lil provides might help someone else who's actually on the field make that play or get a hit the next time. So it actually does make more impact probably than we give ourselves credit for when we are on the bench, which is important for anyone who's ever on a bench in a game, which happens to everyone, to think about, is you've still got a role to play and it's important. There are very important jobs to do on that day, like the scouting sort of stuff, the charts and, like, the bats. Knowing the score, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Don't want to mess that up.
Let's do it again.
So there are little things and it just makes everyone's job on the field easier, but it was a really good day for the twos and the ones to win, which they hadn't done before, I think. Yeah. Because the twos won and everyone was like,
Oh, yeah.
this isn't good.
I think as well because the year before the twos had won.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the ones had lost.
Yes,
like,
yeah,
no,
so we were like,
the
uh-oh.
twos have won. Like,
But no, you
shit.
were like lights out. You threw out a really good game. I remember it was really nice to watch. Like, you just hit spot after spot after spot. It was really good. And everyone backed you up really well. So it was still a really good day to be part of.
It was. I love that it's a very mature approach, and I love this, and I want to, you know, say to all the older girls listening, how cool is it that you guys, and this comes from not, you know, a small part of the club, more from your parents and your upbringing and those things, but the fact that you just talk so glowingly about being a teammate and supporting people around you and playing a role and being there and finding a way to contribute even if you're not on the field. Like those, it's a very mature way to look at things. And I really respect that. And I think, you know, really felt for you, Gab, and that was hard for me because I knew you probably weren't going to play and I knew I was going to try and play well.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want Gabby to play because that means we're going to, you know, not be doing well.
Well, I felt the same way. If that makes you feel
that's
better.
Good. That's good. But I know we sort of talked about this briefly in Messenger before, Lil, and you were sort of, you know, you guys won nationals, but you didn't play, and you sort of, I think, had this period for this 24, 48 hours after where you were like, well, we didn't win because we didn't play, and in the end, well, you did.
Yeah.
But you had to come to terms with that, and you have to figure out, well, I did play and I actually did well and the team did well and so we won, and unfortunately we didn't get to play the gold medal game, but that's how it is, and
we
you know,
won anyway. But
I have no doubt. And then, you know, but that approach, Gab, and knowing that you figured out beforehand, you know, I need to be content with this because this is just really how it is. But I think you both still continue to contribute even when you're not playing. I know what that's like because I didn't play a lot when I played sort of rep baseball, so I understand how that feels. This was really fun because, you know, and I'm going to show some photos a little bit later of Winnie playing first and, you know, her foray into becoming a first baseman, and that was all me.
Oh,
All me.
absolutely.
100%.
But I really love this photo because forget the kids, you guys, the kids, we've got the other kids in there, but this was just so much fun. And it's funny, I remember turning up to this one. So this was not last season, the season before, and I had hurt my neck a couple of weeks prior, and I didn't think I was going to be able to play, and I was quite upset about it in my own time, Gab.
Yep.
And I remember
you should.
turning up. I sort of said to the girls, the coaches kept messaging me, you know, what's happening? Can you pitch? What's happening? Like, look, I think I can pitch, but I don't think I'm the best option to hit. I think like BT's she needs to play. She's gonna be great. And I remember turning up to that game. I don't know if you remember this, but you were sitting out the cage area with your dad, and I came out and I was like, "You're hitting. You're in the lineup." And you're like, "What?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What? I'm playing. Oh my god!" Ah!
Yeah.
You freaked out. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember. That was the first grand final I would have played in
Yep.
across the whole. Oh, was it the one we lost? I played in that too. But this was.
This is the first one you won.
This is the first one I won.
This is not the one where you burnt the flag.
I still have that flag in my closet.
She didn't
Flag
burn the
not
flag.
burnt.
No.
She didn't
I
burn the
saved
flag.
it for
No
being
flags were
there.
burnt.
It's in her house.
Just borderline.
But yeah, just like looking at that photo, I remember that day. I was so I was freaked out and was very scared playing. But just the feeling after, it's so much better when you're playing and you win. And I was just a full ride of emotions and experiences, and like, of course I'm pulling a pose in that photo, but like taking the team, like
Always.
I felt really connected to everyone that to this day, and that season especially. And it was also my first Vic Women's, so I got really close to like you and Maddie, and really felt like and Cav, and felt like a part of the team, like part of the club a little bit more than was before. But yeah, it was the best. And yeah, I remember being like, no, you're not putting me in. No.
It was a good decision, and we won. I've got a bone to pick with Winnie,
Okay.
and I've tried to pick this with you on Messenger, and you just disregard it.
Oh.
But we made a deal
Oh no. Is this the
that
tattoo?
if you would win your first Division 1 premiership, which I believe the photo proves you did,
Yeah, that was a big.
that we would get a tattoo.
You got every other fish under the sun.
You've got
Yeah.
400 tattoos, and I don't believe you have the tattoo you promised me.
I don't.
So
I
when's
do
that
not have
happening?
it. Tell me when, and
I
I'll
do. When are
she told
you?
you.
No, give me
Yeah.
a time and a place, and I'll be there with
So you have
bells
to pay
on.
for it, I think, is what she's
No,
saying.
I'll fund my own tattoo because that was a big year for me.
That's why I'm mentioning it,
was-
because we
yeah.
had discussed this. And this is, to be honest, and let's be honest, we are amongst friends.
Mm?
You know,
And the
I
viewers.
think I'd coached you and you'd been at the club for a few years by now, and then you'd gone through patches where, you know, you had other commitments. You had uni or you had other things going on that meant that you maybe didn't commit as much of your time to training.
Mm.
And I don't think you would tell me that I'm speaking
Oh,
out of
no.
school here.
No.
But I think this was the year where I saw you really put in more than you have ever put in,
Yeah.
which is funny because guess what?
What?
You played really well.
I think as well. I think
That's what happened.
Is that the-
So all these years, you know, and it's easy for your mum to say, oh, you got potential, or for me to
Yeah.
say it, but it was like this light bulb moment, and you were like, oh, cool. So if I do more, and that was our Phil Collins BP Thursday night training. Phil Collins was the answer to all our problems. But it was so much fun. Like, was this season really fun for you, or?
initially I was shit scared because like the week the season starts, you and Chevy come up to me and like, Hannah's hurt herself, go and learn to play right field. I was like, now? You're like, yep, you're playing right field this weekend.
Like in a minute, like get your
I was like,
glove.
right, whatever, what do I know about playing in the outfield? Nothing. Lucky for me, Shanna's is an absolute godsend. And even though she had a lot going on, she took the time and taught me everything I needed to know about the outfield. And it was the best time. That's the best, most fun I've ever had. It was my first Division 1 grand final. I'd played a new position. It was great.
And then you didn't get your tattoo.
And then I didn't get my tattoo.
What a great ending to the story.
Uh,
No, it's
I'll
cool.
get
It's
a tattoo.
you can see in your face there how much it meant, and that was a really great day, and a really I know, right at the front.
Yeah.
Moving on from Shanna's, and she's going to feature in here a little bit, but just some of the mentors that have, of course, you've had a lot of opportunity because a lot of the girls are quite a bit older than you, and this is one I pulled out of the archives from a couple of years ago, but I think Shay has been a big influence, particularly for you, Lil, and obviously the big reason you ended up at the club was because of Shay, and you've talked about that before. Sort of what's it been like going from, you had her as a coach when you were juniors, and you played in the juniors, Gab.
Yeah.
With Cavs and Emily and
the
H.
16s team, yeah.
16's half. It was actually more girls than boys in that team. And then played in the seniors, and she's coached you, but then you've had the chance to play with her at Springy and on the state team. Talk to me about what that's been like and the lessons you've learnt from her in baseball.
Well, too many to talk about lessons-wise, but yeah.
And don't mention Proud Mary.
Oh, I was not going to.
Yeah, thanks.
Gabby will.
No, I won't.
You have to.
That's PTSD, mate.
You'll do it every year, though.
Yeah.
But Shay is one of the biggest reasons why I play baseball to this day. She was my first ever female coach. That was the first time I ever played with girls. And, I mean, to this day, she's still always coaching me. I had a lot of trouble with my hitting last season, and I was like, Shay, can you please help me? Teach me your ways. But, yeah, it's a weird journey to go from being coached and, like, looking up in a different way to then playing with someone who you've always seen as a mentor, as an inspiration, as, like, this. And now it's happened with Chevy as well, which I know we'll talk about. But all of a sudden playing alongside them, taking the field, having Shay turn around and be like, you paying attention? You paying attention? Yes, I am. But, yeah, she's just, like, a rock. She's, like, will always be there to help and whatever.
Yeah.
And, yeah, playing on the state team with her too was bonkers.
Bonkers. I love that word. Bonkers.
Bonkers.
Speaking of state teams, Gab, so obviously she's coached you at Springy, but you were able to play alongside her, and this was when you actually pitched the gold medal game when you won nationals a few years ago in Canberra. What's the journey been like? And don't talk Proud Mary, but the on-field journey for you's been pretty important. She's played a pretty important role.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Funnily enough, I wasn't actually going to mention Proud Mary. It doesn't take place on the field. Shay, she's someone that I've known of at least since I started playing at Berwick when I was 10. So she played in the women's team and was around the club a bit. So were you, Mandy, a few of the other girls were still playing in the Berwick team at that time. And I probably had no idea, like, what you'd actually done within baseball. And then learning, like, Shay's, like, just one of the best players ever to have ever played the game. You're like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool that she's at my club and I get to learn from her. So even before she was coaching me, like, I was still like, she's cool. And like, as a little girl, you're like, wow, like, that's really cool what she's done. You don't really know what she's done. Be like, that's awesome. She's, like, gone overseas, played baseball, whatever. Like, she's a cool role model to have, and so are all the girls. And at that point, you sort of just think anyone who's older than you is pretty cool. So it was interesting. And then she would have been coaching me a bit within the women's program before she was within the under-16s. And I think it's something that she does until this day is she just gives and gives and gives to everyone. Like, it doesn't matter if you want to play on the state team, play for Australia, or if you just want to come and play social baseball. She wants to help you get better at that. And she gives her time to everyone. If you ask and respect her, you get her time and you get everything that she's got to give, which is massive. Like, someone who's achieved as much as she has, if you look at men who've done a similar level sort of stuff, a lot of them wouldn't give their time for free to give you all of that, and she just gives it to everyone, not even just people at our club. So that's massive. So I really idolised Shay and you and a lot of the girls that were in the ones or had been around a long time. So to then be on the state team with her, it was a massive thing. Like, just even to make that team at all, felt like I was very out of my depth, and I had a lot of hard work to do to even take the field, and then to pitch in that gold medal match. Like, the whole week, I just had a lot of fun. I was like, this is great. Like, I started pitch counts. I was like, if I pitch less than 30, like, I can pitch again. So just trying to, like, pitch as much as I could, because I knew that's the only way I was getting on the field anyway. I just wanted to help and be part of the team. Like, it was such a fun week to be part of. And Dino, who was coaching, was a massive influence for me as well, that whole week. But then this photo is a good one. I don't think I've got it on my wall, but it is one of the ones, like, in my favourites.
Shay will be very disappointed you're not on her wall.
She's on the wall, but not that photo.
She's on the wall.
Most
there you go, Shay.
Most of the club features on my wall. No, but to be able to play with her and share that moment of winning a gold medal for Victoria with her, when she'd been such a massive part of what had actually allowed me to get there, was a huge deal for me. I was so nervous that day. But I remember before that game, I went into her room and she was rooming with Morgie, and they both like talked to me like about what pitches we're going to throw to hitters. Probably forgot all of it. It doesn't matter because Abs was catching, and she knew what to do anyway. But it just helped me feel a bit more prepared and calm, which is something that she's done not only then but all the time. Like she just knows everything. Or at least she comes across as though she does, so she helps you.
She'll screen record that, and
Probably.
that'll be her new ringtone.
That's right.
Shay knows everything. Shay knows everything.
Yeah.
Shay knows everything. Phone's ringing.
No, she's been really good. Oh, not that photo.
I am. Probably, and Bay, you've already sort of mentioned Flan, and she's had a few guest mentions here, but this is from, the early days, obviously. This is a twos game at Waverley. But she's been probably pretty influential for you and for Lil, more, and probably for Gab too, but more so for you guys playing in the outfield. And at a club where there's a lot of loud people who are happy to give their opinions, probably me included, she's not that person. She's softer and calmer and probably much more approachable when you are, feeling a little intimidated or whatever. So you guys laugh at this photo, but I thought it was cool because one of the things that I think is great about Shanna's is she's competitive, but she loves the game. She loves to play. And I think she's loved, without saying it too much, loved having people to mentor without saying I'm a mentor. She just does it and she enjoys playing that role. So I want to flick through to this. We'll come back to that photo, but she has been someone pretty close to you, Lil, and obviously you can't really escape her in the outfield. But what's it been like? And I love this photo. This is the game. Obviously, we'd like to forget the game. Yeah. Potentially, this was the game at Waverley, but what's it like having you've got the Shays who loud and Simone's a bit crazy at times, but she is a calming influence. Yeah. Do you think that's been a real benefit to you because you are a lot quieter and maybe a little bit more shy than some of the other girls?
100%. She's just the coolest ever.
The icon.
The icon. Yeah. But yeah, like, just you learn so much just from watching her play. Like, a few times I was a bit watching her just because we got to play together, and I was very excited because we didn't for a few times, but I was so excited to take the field with her. Oh my God. But yeah, she's just like the perfect presence. You just want her to be there because I get frustrated or I'm not doing something right or I'm letting my emotions take over a little bit, and you just kind of I made eye contact with her a few times, and it just like brings you back to there. And she's just like so calming, and she's so insightful, and she'll just kind of take you aside and be like she pep talked me that day so much, and I got a hit after that, and she did that. But yeah, she's someone who I look up to so much. She's
awesome.
And so tall.
The coolest ever, Flan. Coolest ever. Bay, taking your way back.
My first year.
Taking your way back here, and we're at Altona. Do you remember this moment?
I do.
And your mother gave me this photo
at that point
in a photo frame.
Oh, did she?
Yep.
Oh,
as a gift. I've still got it. And I love this photo. That's Emily and on the left and you on the right. It was a tough day that day. It was a tough old day, wasn't it?
That day
it was not a great result.
No.
And it was, we were up against it. But I love that photo because at the end of the day, no matter what is happening, and do you remember what I said to you?
It was something along the lines of essentially what happens today isn't going to matter, and in 10 years you're going to look back, and I think you said something like, with any luck, I'll be sitting over there drinking a beer. But, you know, it'll be
Oh my
you
God,
guys.
you recorded it.
You know, it doesn't matter. And don't worry about what the scoreboard says. Just enjoy what's left of the day. Something like that.
Yep,
That's
pretty
probably a
much
bit
word
more.
for word, including the beer. Drink responsibly. I say that in every podcast. But also, you won't be here for very long, was what I said. And true to my word, you and Emily weren't there for very long. And, of course, went on to play in the twos, then the ones, and here we are today. But personally speaking, it's been really fun to get to play some kind of a role myself with you guys, and still doing that. Are there any other players at the club that you think have played a role, or that you want to mention that have been involved at the club and sort of helped you on the journey so far?
I think, sorry.
No, you go.
For sure, Chevy as well. I obviously used to be a catcher. I've dabbled in a few positions. So I think every time I play a new position, I find someone else. And I think while I was learning to catch, Chevy, and we had Anna back when I was a catcher, but Chevy's been so good. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's always willing to help.
Yeah.
I think Chevy's great too.
Yeah, I'd agree with Chevy. Cass has also been one for me a little bit. More so actually in recent times. She sends a lot of messages that are quite encouraging, which are helpful. But she's always been there since I started in the threes. I think she was in the twos at that point.
Yeah.
But she's one of those people that is just so friendly, and she knows a lot about the game. She's sort of unassuming because she's not the most athletic person ever. But she knows a lot, and she just wants everyone to do so well, especially the kids. She's one of the ones that really sort of supports the kids. Doesn't matter which kid it is. She just wants you all to do so well. And there's a lot of people at the club like that. And then on the other side of things, you got Mandy, who sometimes gives you the tough love. And she's done it to all the kids, and I'm sure she'll continue to. But it's
like a rite of passage.
Yeah, I think it's something
knows
that you
no
need.
other way.
And she's sort of there to say, like, this is how we do it here, right? Like, if you want to be part of the big cats, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And you need someone like that. You need the people who are really supportive and friendly and lovely, and then you need the people who are going to be like, hey, that's how we do it, all right? And then when you do something good, like, they let you know too, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. But I think it's probably also important to mention the men. Like, I've played in the men's program a little bit, and then I sort of deal with more of them over winter. But Mick's probably been one for me as well, which you wouldn't really know over summer. But he's been there, sort of helped me out a little bit over winter. He's another one, gives you that tough sort of like, that's terrible. Why would you do that? Like, why would you swing like that? Forget
Very
the
blunt.
swing angle, just make contact. I'm like, Mick, I can't. I'm trying. I wasn't actually trying to hit it over the fence. Or pitching is like, well, why would you throw it down the dick when there's two strikes? I'm like, I didn't mean to. But yes, you're right. I shouldn't have thrown it there. But it's not just the women. Even though we are celebrating the 30 years of the women, I think it's important to mention the men have actually also contributed to that a lot.
Well, it's come up in every podcast, the support of everyone at the club, and particularly the men's program, and some of the coaches we've had have been amazing. I think it's great that you've sent that shout out. And one of the things, before I ask Lil to mention any of her other mentors, one thing I will say is that if you listen to Mandy's podcast, I'm not sure if you have yet, but she talked about, I asked her, why do you keep playing? Why do you keep volunteering? You're on the bench in the ones. And she said because she feels like she needs to teach the next generation what you do. And that it's not just about turning up and playing and going home. Like there's things people helped her, people coached first for her. So now she wants to do those things because she wants you guys to see her do it. So the fact that you've mentioned that is really cool, because I know that'll mean a lot to her. Lil, anyone else for you that you want to mention?
I mean, I second everything that's already been said, really. But I think I should mention Hannah Jackson. She was my legal guardian at one point for a second. But, I mean, I don't even remember. This is me starting every conversation. I don't remember. But I don't remember, really meeting her. But she's just such a strong presence for me at Springvale, and she is just such a helping hand with teaching me how to play outfield and what I'm not doing right, and isn't doing it in a way that's you need to fix this, but in a way, like, showing me, why don't you try doing this or something like that. And she's just so fun to be around, and she's definitely, like, I look up to her, obviously, but yeah, and she's always got great stories, and is just
she's got great stories.
the most fun person to be around. She lightens up the room, I'd say, really.
Yeah.
She's a really good sounding board too, actually.
Yeah.
I find I don't like to disagree with people very much. I'm a bit of a people pleaser, but she's probably one of the easiest people to disagree with, not in a bad sense, but you can have a really good discussion about things.
Debate.
Yeah, or like she'll bring something up and I'll be like, I don't think that's how I do that. Like, let's talk about it more. Or I'll say something to her and she'll say, I don't think that's how it happens. And she's like a really good person to just have a debate or a bit of a discussion with. And you might not actually agree at the end of it, but you both feel like you've come away with something, which is quite a good quality to have.
Absolutely,
And
it
she's
is.
a lefty as well. She's going to stick together.
Here we
And
go.
she always likes to remind me that she was the young one at one point too, and would be like, I've been there, don't worry.
Well, when you see her podcast come out, I'll bring up some photos of her back in the day, and once she was young, not now. Sorry, Jacko. Love you, Jacko. Opportunity, of course, coming into a club where there's, been a lot of success. There's lots of people around, and Gab, you already mentioned the fact that you, got to play with Shay, and Shay's played overseas, and of course, with all these things and with our imports comes opportunity for you to do cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And you've been to Japan, so that I think was your trip with Maddie that you guys went on when you were in year 12, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you went to a game there, and then obviously at the Melbourne tournament meeting Lesko, and then you actually, luckily enough, got to go to the All-Star game with her last year. So talk us through some of these amazing things. I mean, I don't think I brought up... Oh, that's first base. Go back. I don't think I brought up a photo, but you actually got to go and play in Japan.
Yep.
And that opportunity would never have existed without you playing here and being involved with Shay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, to be honest, most of the opportunities I've had in my life and the best things I've ever been able to do, not that I've been alive that long, but in my short time, the best things that I've ever been able to do have all been because I've played at Springvale and the people that I know. Like most of it has literally zero to do with any ability to play baseball at all. It's about the people you know. So that trip to Japan, it was just a holiday. That one wasn't playing. But obviously knew Arbe because she'd been our import, and we were excited to go back and visit her because we hadn't seen her since she sadly had to leave. So we got to hang out with her a bit. She was working as well, but so we didn't get to see her every day. We got to stay with Momo, one of our other past imports. So didn't have to pay for accommodation, so that was sick. As a year 12 student working at KFC, didn't really have the cash for that. And then Rissa was there as well. Her and Arbe drove us down to that game to watch Dione play. And we got to meet Ayami Sato, which was like the coolest thing ever to me at the time. She gave us like a card and a sticker. It was the best. Got to go on the field because Rissa was there, so it's like you're like VIP treatment, which is just something you'd never be able to do on your own.
Yeah.
Which was really cool, and we really enjoyed that opportunity. And then getting to meet Lesko at the Melbourne tournament, like she's just a cool lady. So even then she was like, I don't even know how old she was in that, but then she was like throwing around and like she was pretty old. Let's not lie. But she's there pitching and like just loving life. And then to be able to go last year and see her in her hometown, Snohomish, that was cool. Go visit her house, go around her town. She was showing us around everywhere.
Go out to Mexican cocktails with Lesko.
Yep, that
Did
ended
it all.
well.
We won't go into that story.
Bit of karaoke. That was really cool to go with her and experience that All-Star game stuff. Again, if we were there on our own, no chance we're getting led into that. So piggybacked on her a bit. And got to go to the Home Run Derby and the All-Star game. Didn't sit with her at the game, but got to go because she had tickets, which was awesome. And it was really cool to experience some of that stuff through her lens as well. Like it's easy to be there as a 21-year-old then and be like, oh, this is cool. But you see her and how much it means to her that she's been invited or that she gets to go and do these little things with her mates, and it sort of gives you a different perspective on things, which was really cool.
Just to clarify,
yes,
Gab didn't have a ticket to the All-Star
No.
game. I gave her my ticket.
Thank you.
Sometimes people question how great I am, and I just want that on the record.
No one
that
said you
Gab
weren't
did
great.
not have a ticket. Gab ended up there because
Thank
she
you
knew
so much,
she
Simone.
knew Simone from Springvale who gave her the
Yeah.
ticket. You're welcome.
Thank you, Simone from Springvale.
You're welcome.
Yes, and then knowing
Thanks for
Shay,
thanking
obviously, Jacko and I got to go over and play on Rissa's team for like 2 months, which was such a cool experience. It's a once-in-a-lifetime sort of thing. Like, they put us up. Like, we're training like almost every day, getting to play games, play with the team. And that was a really special experience for me because the team was made up of like girls in their early 20s. So it was people all my age, which is something I hadn't done in a long time. And then to be in a team of people that are so committed and such good teammates and just really have that passion for baseball is probably something I haven't ever experienced with all people my own age. Because I've always been a little bit more committed and crazily passionate for it than some of the other kids, which is fair enough. But that was such an awesome experience, and not even just for the baseball, but just the life lessons and opportunities. And I'm very aware that it's something I wouldn't have the opportunity to do if I didn't play at Springvale and know you guys. So it's something that I'm very thankful for.
Very cool.
Nice.
Winnie Blue. You already mentioned a little bit about, playing the outfield and, learning to play the outfield with Shanna's and how fun it was. But, I still remember that day. I was like, I'm going to need you to play first base. You're like, what do I do there? I was like, you just catch the ball and stand on the base. Like, okay. And, here we are now and tell us about that. It's really not easy to just be... I say baseball's a simple game, but really when you break it down and you say go play a new position you've never played.
When you're the one playing a new position every season, it's not so easy.
Every week.
Tell us about it.
It literally happened like that. You threw the glove at me and said, go and play first base. And I said, how? What do I do? But funnily enough, I had taken some time off and it was my first season back. I remember being hounded. We need a catcher. I was like, whatever, I got nothing better to do, whatever. So halfway through, I ended up becoming a first base, and I still play first base. It's actually been one of the best things to happen to me. Complete accident, but, I'm not very tall, so you wouldn't think that I'd be able to do it or would ever do it. But, yeah, I love it. Love it.
Great.
So much. And... even you, G, Chevy, have all been such a good help, even if you're hitting balls at me from the pitcher's mound. It's great. I'm so glad that it happened. A nice, happy accident, I think. And it never would have happened otherwise. I'd still be catching, probably.
That's very cool. I love that there's always a pose of some kind. I love it.
That was a dance battle.
Dancer.
That was a dance
Oh, I'm sure it
I'm
was.
not whipping. I was whipping ironically.
One thing I think is really cool about you guys too is that there has been opportunity to immerse yourself in other parts of the club, and all three of you have been involved, and obviously this was one of the Diamond Girls nights. But the other stuff that we do, it's obviously important for the club, but for you guys, what's it been like to be able to be involved in those things like the Diamond Girls, or being involved in the the alumni sort of stuff that we do, and being around all these different types of people? I mean, Gab can attest to this, but some of the kids at the clinics are
different.
They're sometimes hard to manage, but at the end of the day, you're trying to teach them the game that you love, and particularly through the eyes of our club, because we want players to end up at our club. But what's it been like doing that and being able to do it with your mates? Obviously, you were there with Maddie that night, and that was really funny. Until Shay stole that home run off that poor little girl and jumped up and down like she'd won the World Series. I was like, oh, God, she's never coming back.
Got to learn the hard way.
Talk to me about that,
Yeah.
Lil.
It was really fun. I think this was the one I remember. I think I came to another one or two, but this one was like I fully immersed in that one. I mean, I took more of just like almost like a fun art role in that. Like, I mean, like I can't really give the skills on yet. I'm not there yet, but just trying to support other younger players, well, girls who want to play or hoping to play. Super fun. Like just trying to bring the energy and make it look. Make it look like, well, act like as it is, how it's super fun. And like I remember being there with Mads, and that was lots of fun. And that was like after I'd just become like properly friends with her, because I was very scared of her for a long time. But yeah, that was super fun. I think I won that dance battle.
You did.
Yeah, it's great. And I've also like I was captain of my school softball team as well, and had the same kind of thing of like, that was a little bit more of me trying to be like, come on, you just got to field the ball, like just get the ball in your glove and throw. But this was like so much fun just to see a bunch of girls who were kind of in a similar position when I first started playing of, oh, should I play? I don't know what to do. But yeah, it's super fun and cool.
There's been and I'll come back to Diamond Girls in a minute, but there's been other opportunities, particularly for you, Gab, playing in, and obviously BT and Baylin have played in Vic teams as well. Mm-hmm. But for you, when you sort of started and you came into the program, you've had a lot of support from a lot of people, and obviously Jenny is one of them, and I know she'll be watching this, so I thought it was really important to show this photo, and there's no photo of it, but when Lil, we had a fundraiser for Lil late last year, and you know the first one to buy a ticket is Jenny. Not just Jenny, but talk to me about the support that you've had from the different people around the club and what that's meant to you.
The support has been massive. I remember this photo's from when we'd made a junior state team. I think I might have been on the white team maybe at that point, and Jenny had donated money, Jenny and Martin had donated money to all the kids who'd made it. We were running our own fundraiser, I think, as well, but she wanted to make a donation, so we got together and got this photo to all say thank you to her. But it's such an important thing, because I think before that I knew who Jenny was, but I don't think the other four knew her, and she would have known that and still wants to support these kids who are playing at the club that she's been around for years and years, scoring and being a part of with her family, and wanting to support that in people she doesn't really know. Sort of shows the character of the people around the club. Like, we get around each other. It doesn't really matter if you know anything about someone. If they're off to do something cool, you get around them and you try and help make that happen. Like, it's very expensive to go play nationals, and obviously that at that point was probably more of a cost to our parents. I had to contribute quite a lot to mine, but some kids it was just a cost to their parents. So to contribute to that and support is massive. So I always made a point of sending her an email and saying, hey, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And getting the juniors, I think, on presentation, I'm like, hey, let's go say thanks to Jenny. And they're like, who's Jenny? I'm like, the lady who gave me money. go say thanks. No, she's really important. She still scores for the men's every week. And it's like mixed playing, who's a family member. He's there sometimes. But really, other than that, there's no family member or any proper like connection that you would normally have with a scorer. So to stay around the club and just be part of it because you love it is massive. And then it's not only Jenny, there's everyone. I mean, even if it's not making state teams, there's just stuff going on in your life that you're doing that's cool. Everyone wants to hear about it. And I think it's probably a bit of a different experience when you're the kid and you're off to go on a trip or something, and you're super excited about it, and it's all these older people like, wow, like that's awesome for you, like that's great, and they support you, and you're like, oh, this is cool, like everyone is happy about what I'm going to do, and it makes you feel really good about yourself and sort of gives you a bit of confidence in what you're doing too. I think that's probably more so with the state stuff. You're like, oh, cool, like everyone's from my club is supporting me. Like when you're away and you're like, this is cool, like they're sort of part of it too. Because without their help, whether it's financial or teaching you baseball or just being a mate and supporting you, you don't get there. You don't get those opportunities. So to know that when you're elsewhere, not necessarily got the Lions uniform on, you're still representing those people and they're still there with you.
Very well said. A big shout out in particular to Jenny and Martin, who continue and have we're talking about 30, they've been supporting the women's program and the club, of course, for 30 years and still do so. So a big shout out to them, and I hope they're listening to that. You two have played a big role in Felix. He doesn't get shown on social media very often, so it's a guest appearance. He's little there. Still didn't sleep. But you've kind of immersed yourself, and I feel bad, babe, because you've done a lot of work with Diamond Girls, but you're not in this photo. But this was last year, our gala day, and we had quite a few of the girls down there, Gab. What's it been like for you, I suppose, being an integral part of that and giving back to, you know, a little bit like what you said about Mandy. You know, a lot of people have helped you, and now you're sort of taking on a lead role in trying to help others. Is that an important part of your baseball?
Oh, absolutely. I think the opportunity to give back, even just to people in the local community, I'm sort of starting to realise is a massive thing. It's obviously an opportunity for our club, but it's just important in terms of life, I think. The Diamond Girls program, I think at the start I was sort of just happy to have another thing at the club to go to. And I think it was sort of, I think it might have just been after I'd gotten my licence that you sort of started to organise it. And I feel like I wasn't working or something and you'd like hired me to come help you. And I just thought it was fun to hang out and like cut stuff up, to be honest, like get the laminator out.
Laminate.
Yeah, I got to hang out with my friend, use the laminator, play with Kiwi. I was like, this is the best. And then you sort of actually get to do the program, and then I was sort of getting to that age where I was starting to be a little bit older than some of the people who were coming through the women's program, and it's obviously I'm still only 22, but I am a little bit of a mentor to some of those younger ones. And I think probably Lil was probably one of the first people I sort of tried to like actively help a little bit and be like, hey, like you come out of your shell a little bit. I think when I first arrived, I tried not to smile because I thought that people would like get angry if I was a bit too happy. So you were better than me. But yeah, it's such an important thing that we're able to do to help the local community. And it's a lot of girls that, if you've ever been to a Diamond Girls thing or seen it on social media, a lot of them don't look like they play sport. Like they're kids that come from a low socioeconomic background, just being in Springvale where we are, and they don't all of them play sport. Some of them have played cricket or t-ball or something at school, but most of them haven't really played much sport, so it's a really cool opportunity for them to get out there and play sport in an environment that's just about fun. Like it's fun getting to meet new people when we do the gala days from other schools, and our people from Springvale getting to interact with the local community is huge. You just never know the impact that we're going to be able to have on some high school girl. Like it might not lead her to play baseball, but it might be a really fun day in her memory that helps her for the rest of her life or even for that short period of her time. So I think what started as just fun cutting stuff up and being there to help out, which I really enjoy, has sort of taken on a deeper meaning for me personally.
Yeah, really cool. And Izzy, who's been at the club now for a few years, is going to come on as a guest in a few weeks to talk about, you know, she's the OG, the OG Diamond Girl.
Yeah.
And I remember, and I won't go into too much detail because we're going to talk to her about it, but she turned up and, you know, she was very shy and wasn't quite sure if she fitted in and didn't know where things are at, and realised pretty quickly she had a great support network in this place that was really safe and fun. And here we are 3 years later, and she's part of our family now and loves it. And I hope she's at our club forever. So we're going to talk to her, and I love that all of you guys have been able to be a part of that program, because it is super important that we all are sort of immersed in that. I pulled out some photos from the archives to bring back a few memories before we get to our quiz. And Gab, do you guys remember these photos to start with? Gab?
Yes.
Where was that?
That was at a grand final at Altona, and we lost by 10 runs. I walked the 10th run across the plate, and you said to me, "You'll never forget that." And I was like, well, no, I won't.
And here we are.
I haven't forgotten it. Even just the photo.
What wise words.
Yeah. You were right, I didn't forget that. And I still think about it sometimes when there's loaded bases and I'm pitching.
She brings it up quite frequently, actually.
Bit of trauma, I know.
She's mentioned it a few times.
It was good for me, because then I was like, you're right, I won't forget that. That was shit. I need to be better.
I love
No,
that.
but that was in the 2s.
I don't love that happed to you. But
No.
I love
yeah.
It's all right. I still like you.
You're still here. Bae, this is really early on.
I think it's my first year in the 2s.
And this is one of our great mates, EJ, who messaged me at 1:30 in the morning a couple of nights ago when she was breastfeeding a baby, because her baby doesn't sleep either, and saying the podcasts are great, like it's so awesome. So we're trying to get her on, but I thought it was cool that, you know, EJ hasn't played for quite a few years now. She's got 2 kids and married and loving life, but she played for a long time, and you obviously at the start of your career. She was sort of finishing up playing. She played for a couple of years after that, but hasn't played for a while.
EJ's actually really cool because after a while I went and started to play at Mornington with a club with a massive men's program, and EJ's the only other girl there. So it was kind of nice to go, not only move there, but move there and know someone as well. She's been a really big help too.
Yeah, awesome.
I love EJ.
Shout out to EG. We miss you, EG. Bring the kids down. Now.
You're all knowing at the cat photo.
It wasn't me.
I'm like, here we are waving to Di in the crowd because she's taking photos. That's grand final day. Yeah. And there's BT's busy because she's out on the field by this point.
Yeah, not us.
Yeah, not us.
And the other 3 kids are, who knows what, is Mo, I don't know what Mo's doing.
No, she's probably erasing a cat. No, she's erasing the cat that I've drawn.
She's erasing the cat under my instruction.
Yeah.
It's coming out in Sharpie.
And then we couldn't do a podcast and not mention the cats.
No.
Woohoo! We'd be in lots of trouble. So I found this great photo from the archives. This is a Halloween night with Jarl, Anna Kimbrell. Shout out to Anna. We miss you too, mate. And the crazy cat lady.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Just the ultimate outfit.
Yeah. Had them all at home. Ready to go. Waiting for an opportunity.
Still got them at home. Probably.
Yeah, I still do have them at home. Got more.
Just look at the 2 different personalities there. We've got the axe on one side and the cats on the other.
As long as the axe doesn't touch
we
the
talk
cat,
about different personalities, and this photo just
takes
really...
all times.
Oh, it does.
Oh, no.
Oh,
this is a great one because this is Lil...
Wait, that is so embarrassing. Why am I wearing those shorts?
Why are you wearing your Vic shorts at training?
Yeah, what's that about?
Not allowed
to do that.
You're at training level.
Because I have talked about the
It's
time
up there.
to someone that I had to wear my Vic shorts and I taped over.
It's a rule. You cannot wear your
That
snakes.
is so I trashed that anyway. That's embarrassing. That's shameful.
There were biscuits of some kind,
Yeah.
and they were really dry.
Like the graham cracker things.
And you were trying to eat these biscuits, and you're like, that was really funny because I was not doing this task.
No, I was
Obviously.
I had the camera. Very funny.
Outgrown hair.
Love that photo. And then I found this one, Lil. I loved this photo because this was obviously the game. I think it was the game before Christmas, and we played at Southeast Warriors.
And you gave us tags. You gave us name tags that's still in my bag pocket.
Oh, I did too. That's right. I got the laminator out. And we all had our little hats. And Southeast Warriors, if I'm not mistaken, got annoyed because I had a Santa hat in my pocket.
Oh yes.
On the ground. Do you remember that?
I have a vague memory. Someone's always gonna be annoyed at you.
And they were
They
were yelling at me, and I was like, I'm gonna wear it now.
I
was not happy. I thought those hats were great. Few trophy wins. Gab, that is when you won the McWern trophy, which I potentially, and you can tell us what that was like, but probably meant a lot to you. And then on the right, of course, everyone's fave Abe, and you've already mentioned, going to Japan and being able to reconnect with her, and she welcomed you and took you around and all those things. But tell me about those photos. What do you think of their outfits first, Lil?
I think they're the same ones.
Same business.
Same night.
Year. So that's the same year.
Same night.
Then I got a new shirt. It was my brother's.
New shirt on the right.
Yeah.
New shirt check.
It wasn't good, but that's all right. We'll start with the McWern one. That was the first time I'd won it. I think I've got it twice. That was...
okay.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, all right.
Hang on. Just saying facts.
Flex.
It doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I tried hard.
Go to the
trying
trying bag.
Yeah, it's the trying bag
Go to
award.
the trying bag.
No, that one was really cool because I had been working quite hard. I remember that season. And I sort of always am, but it was cool to sort of have that be recognised, especially being quite young. And I wasn't that new to the club, but still hadn't really found my footing, I suppose, like as a person at the club. So that was really cool. And then obviously I'd known Mick since I was 10, and to win an award that was named after him, after all the stories you've heard about him and what he's done for the club, was really special for me. And sort of even more motivating to work even harder the next year. just to be a better person, better teammate, better player, not about the award at all, but sort of gives you that little bit of motivation of like, hey, this is cool. Like, I've been recognised for what I've done.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop here. Like, there's a lot more to be done, and there's always more to be done.
Yeah.
And then Arbe, she was massive for the whole program and the club, just everyone. She was still is such a lovely person, and just such a fierce teammate. Like, she would do anything for any one of her teammates, and she made that really clear. I was very fortunate. She lived with Mick and Annie for a while she was the import, and I also live in Berwick, so Mum and I would often, well, I say Mum and I, she would pick them. I'd be in the car. We would pick Arbe up from the train station or drop her home after training, so we got to speak to her quite a lot, especially in those early days before she knew heaps of English. So that was quite special, especially for me as a younger kid then. I was like, this is cool. Like, we've got the import in our car. Like, it's exciting. And sort of got to know her. And then she was a really big support for me, especially transitioning from the 2s into the 1s. I struggled quite a bit, especially that first sort of outing, but she is just such a good human being, and makes you feel really good about yourself. And she's really encouraging. Like, she never has a bad thing to say about anyone. And even when she does have a bad thing, she can't say it.
No.
Like, she physically can't get it out. She's just such a lovely person, and was such a massive part of our program for everyone. Again, like, she was really good at first base, like an absolute wall, but you probably remember her more for the stuff she did off the field and the contribution she made to everyone's lives away from that. She was really special, and I remember when she did have to leave, and it was her last season, that was the game at Cheltenham, and she was really disappointed because I think she'd missed a couple at first base that they weren't good throws, but she normally gets all of them because she's just fantastic. And she apologised to me. I was like, it's not your fault, mate. Like, you did what you could do. You did the best you can. We can't expect you to get all of those hops all the time. But she wrote everyone, I think, or most people, a letter before she left. And I still have that on my wall as well. And I read it sometimes, and I just think, wow, like, what a special person to still be, like, a big part of my life still as well. And I know that anytime I go to Japan, or if I want something, like, I can just message her and check in and say, hey, how's it going? Or can you help me with this, or whatever, and she'll be there. So it's really special. Yeah.
What you've all been lucky to have a bunch of different imports in and around the club. Like, what has that been something kind of cool to have? Like, I've sort of been trying to explain this to some of my people at work here, saying that the playing is one thing, but it's not actually about the playing. It's about the being after the game, to having conversations and going out to the pub and having a quiet water and doing all those things. Like, I have such great memories of heaps of our imports. But what's that been like for you, Lil and Baylin, sort of being around different imports in your time? Because even though, you know, it's not that many years, Lil, that you've been around, there's been several imports here during that time.
Yeah, I mean, I think the one I connected most with was probably Sawa, just because we are the same age, and she was just, I think I was the right age to, like, now to actually more communicate with them, and, like, not that I wasn't actively trying beforehand, but just more courage and, like, more confidence to actually form a connection, whereas I was still a bit younger. And I think, like, I got to be on the showcase team with Anna, and I, like, don't have many memories of when she was at Springfield, because I think I was in my first season, or it was some little crossover, and she was like, I still remember you being really young.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god. But yeah, it's like, it's just such a cool thing. It's so, like, it's like such my normal, like, oh, we're going to import, oh sweet, get to learn this new person, like, get to learn about whatever culture, and like, it's really cool. And I think wouldn't change that for anything. Like, So and I still message sometimes, and, like, yeah, it's really cute and fun. And obviously Arbe coached with Shay at the Mariners thing, so we did a recreation of that photo when she was here, and I'm taller than both of them. But yeah, just, like, it's the coolest thing ever. You don't see many other sports that really have that at this level here in Australia.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Faye?
I think it's cool because not every club gets an import, let alone nearly most years gets an import. And I think it's such an exciting thing. And I think as well, if you happen to get an import that plays your position, like when Anna was here, I think it's nice having someone that doesn't know you and doesn't know what quirks you have or anything and can just tell you exactly what's wrong and help you fix it. But I think as well, having Sawa, who's someone our age, I think it was so cool and she was so out there and just wanted to have fun. And I think it's great. I think we're so lucky to be able to get imports.
I thought her grand final performance was amazing, but her Proud Mary, I was quite blown away by her dance moves. Like her moves were pretty good.
Oh no.
Now,
nice pants look.
I think this is my last photo, and Lil, I had to do something because when I mentioned that I might bring this up, you said I had an interesting outfit on that day, and I didn't know what you're saying, so I zoomed in just to make sure you could see because I didn't want you not to see. You guys, again, thank you, Matt, for making this happen. But climbing up the side of some weird ladder in the rain to get to this billboard off somewhere off the freeway. And again, talking about opportunity, of course, you can see on that sign for those who can't see because they're watching on YouTube, it's KH Wern Reserve, which is the home of the big cats. And the tournament's become such a great part of what the club is involved in and is a big part of the club. And I know all three of you have embraced that. But tell me a little bit about that experience being up the...
Tell us about the pants.
The pants are from Big Bud Press. I got them in LA and they're all handmade and hit me up for a Big
So
Bud
why
Press.
were you worried about...
Because I have always been conscious of how I look like compared to the other, and like
you're just stylish. That's the difference.
No, it's just weird that I'm the only. I just got freaked out because I was the only one. Not like I didn't look the same as everyone else.
You missed the shorts memo.
I didn't get the shorts.
Cavs has got a chucks on.
Yeah,
standard. So does
Shout
Lil.
out to Lil.
So does Lil. Both of them do.
Yeah.
AKA Chucks.
I was ready to train.
Also, she's in her brat somewhere with the knee tape.
She's got some knee tape on, and then we've got
standing
Gab's.
far away.
Yeah, Gab is about to train.
Yeah.
She's on her way to training.
I don't look thrilled to be up there.
No, I'm not sure Lil was all that happy that she had a sore knee and had to climb all those stairs in the rain. But well done to all of you. I think that's great, and a big thanks to Matt again.
Yeah, that was 2020, so that would have been my second one. And I obviously knew, and you were trying to be friends with me, but I was very scared, and I didn't. I was like, really, do I have to do this? Like, I don't want to. I'm too scared to talk to them all. And I think that's another thing. I was just a bit nervous and shy a little bit.
I think we were all nervous when we had to climb up that ladder in the rain. So we'd taken the train into the city. I don't think you were with us, Lil.
No,
You met
it
us.
was my dad.
We were on the train, and then we were like, oh my God, we have to get all the way over to here. So the people don't know, if you're like on your way through the city, that billboard's like right on the left, like on the edge of the freeway. And we're like, how do we get there? Because we're on the wrong side of the freeway. So we were like 15, 16, we have to work this out. We're like, I don't know how to get there. So when we managed to get there, it's pissing down. Yeah. And we walk through this like t-shirt factory. It's your dad's friend.
Yeah, love
Yeah,
those.
like merch,
They do all the
band merch, yeah?
Yep.
And then we're like, that's cool. And then I was like, where's this photo shoot thing that Simone's mentioned? And they're like, yeah, so you're just going to climb up this ladder. I was like, I don't think so.
I don't know if he knew that's how you get there either.
That was insane.
No.
I was like, mate, we've got like baseball bats and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like heights either. So I was like, this is not good. But we did it.
I know.
And then we had to go down. That was more my concern.
Ta-da! And here we are.
Yeah.
We survived.
You look a bit nervy.
I was.
I like how far away Lily and
The
I
roof
stand
wasn't
from
very
each
thick.
other.
I noticed that
Like-
too.
Maddie's leaned away from me.
You
well.
were in the anyway.
She borrowed
the
my
same
shirt.
outfit.
Yeah.
No. She didn't bring her own shirt.
I
had to bring
remember
a
that.
I
spare.
think I was wearing your hat too.
Probably.
Decked everyone out on your way to training,
Yeah.
Gab.
Yeah. And spares.
This is our quiz. We're going to finish on our quiz
Oh God, okay.
because I think Sid's probably had enough of listening to us. Well done out the back, Sid.
Thanks, Sloth.
She's had a
Our
telling me to go closer to the mic.
our favourite on-field memories.
Definitely my 22, 23 one's grand final.
Yep.
Watching you get up and after Chevy's thrown someone out at second base.
Oh.
and
We know who.
We know who.
My first ever 9-3
We recreated it.
was the best day of my life. I
Yep.
think that was good.
Need a tap. Yes. Gab. Great memory.
That's a tough one for me. Probably winning the premiership with the threes, I think. I think a lot of my favourite memories are actually off-field that I've got that come to mind when I immediately think about it.
Yeah.
Or like training or after the games when we're all having a drink and chips and everyone's chatting shit, telling the same stories that you've all told on this podcast. That's my favourite part of it, I think. I've always enjoyed getting to listen to everyone tell these stories. But on-field, probably winning that premiership with the threes and catching a deb and sort of felt important, I guess, for the first time, which was really cool.
Yeah, cool.
I don't know. I'm a bit the same. It's a bit hard. So many things like have rolled into one, and there's been so many like maybe like not like the most memorable moments for other people, but like moments that I'm just like, oh my god, I did that, or like something like that. But I think that same season was probably the season that I really think I stepped up, and I think, well, I mean, I'm still trying to step up now, but it's been a bit of a decline. But that season,
it's okay, Lil, me too.
Got like, I don't know, I felt really good, and I was having a really good hitting season, and I think that grand final's got to be probably one of my favourite memories too. Like, I looked at that photo and I was just like smiling straight away. Like, it was just the
It's
best.
a good photo.
Yeah.
Or hitting one of the only hits in that Doncaster grand final.
Oh.
You got 2 hits.
But not
And you
getting
did.
out.
We're the only ones
Not
that
getting
hit.
You
out
two
on
got
the-
hits.
Yeah, that was.
Let's not
We
discuss
don't
the
need to
base
talk
There's
about
running.
always a downside
that
of
game.
my good
Yeah, the
Yeah.
base running didn't end well. I got to walk.
There's always downsides of my good moments.
That's
Good memories, girls. Off field.
Mm.
But that's hard too, because it's like every training, every game. Well, not every game. But like,
I think it's hearing the stories from before we were around
Yeah.
about all your rivalries and your
The drama.
yeah
The drama.
I didn't know how to say it, but yeah,
Just
I
say
think
it.
they're hearing the stories from before we're around, and you know you still have some of those people around from other clubs as well. I think it's fun. It's fun for us at least because
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with us.
exactly.
Yeah, I think you just inherit these things as well. Like Gabby and I
Yeah.
have spoken about it a few times. We have nothing to do with these rivalries, but we feel it when we play against these clubs, and we're like, oh, you know, it kind of
It flows
Yeah.
through you a bit,
Yeah.
I think. You sort of get it in your blood. Like, you're part of the Big Cats family. Like, yeah, you feel it too. I mean, you feel it anyway because of the energy that's in the dugout. I'd say the same thing. The stories that we've heard and just, like, the camaraderie between, like, people of such different ages and backgrounds. Like, it really is such a motley crew of people. And when I tell people that are not at baseball, like at my work, like, they ask about where I play baseball, and like, oh, like, who do you play with? And I say, like, it's a range, like, of people. Like, there's some people who are my age, some people a little bit younger, some who are, like, close to retirement age. Like, not kidding. Like, it's a massive range that you don't really get with most other sports. Like, you're sectioned into ages that are pretty close to your own, especially at that youth level. Like,
Yeah.
at 13 years old, like, you're hanging out with people who are as old as your mum or older. But you get to hang out with them not in a parent sort of way, like they're just your friends by the end of it. Like, some of my best friends are like twice my age, if not more. Some of them are the same age as me. Like, it's gives you a very
Some of them are
unique
younger.
experience. Yeah, some are some are younger, Lil, yes.
Well
You're
said.
very right, yeah. It gives you such a unique experience, and then learning about all that you've done and everyone else at the club, and like you hear stories about Emma Medwin when she played, and for us she's a scorer, like that's all we've known her as, and you hear these stories, you're like, oh, I didn't even know she played.
Yeah.
So you learn all this like lore about the different people, and it's like you try
Yeah.
to piece it together because you get a little fragment at a time, and then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, so where does that fit in compared to this story and that story?
Gabby and I have decided we should write a book
Yeah.
Oh.
and like
Yeah.
Wow,
make a
this
big
is-
diagram, like a
this is like the
timeline.
Yeah, we need a flow
Oh.
chart
Yeah.
of what happened when. We've pieced it together a little bit
Oh, this
in
is
our minds.
a great
So-
This
idea.
is the perfect time to do it.
We
I
should-
love this.
True. We should
You
start
can
taking
present
notes.
this at the
Why-
30th anniversary function.
Yeah, but we need you to give us the dates.
Yeah.
We just
need-
know the stories. We don't know when they happened, a lot of
Yeah.
them. We know some
I
of
feel
them.
like we're missing details.
I
of the
can-
story.
Oh,
I can-
yeah.
Too.
Yeah,
I
there's
can
more
help.
details to be given.
Yeah.
I
Not
can
on a
help with
We'll
that.
come
podcast.
back to you.
I can help with that.
Great.
Bounce was fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bounce was
How
very
did I
fun.
not break my neck at
I
that
don't
place?
know.
But
I
I
was
had the
very
best
concerned.
time. That
It
was
was so
so
good.
fun.
That was good.
Bounce was good. But I would like to say, with
Okay.
the rivalry situation,
Oh.
I'd like to say, I feel it playing game, but there is the new, like, you think of us as the kids, but
I like Jamie.
but like, you know what I mean? Like, new generation too are there as well. And although they feel at the same time, like, it's really fun now to be able to, like, being the right age to, like, start forging friendships with, like, a few other people from
Yeah,
different clubs
absolutely.
and, like,
Well, yeah.
playing with a bunch of girls that would then go play different. It is nice seeing them because I don't really catch up with other people besides like Springvale people training, seeing them.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, rocking up to a game and being like, oh, I get to play her, and as much as I don't like her during the game, like it's fun to say hi and stuff like that after the game.
I think that's an important point too, because as much as there'll always be rivalries and there's always history and stuff that happened, you know, many years ago. There's an element now of it sort of being this new phase, and I think that's something we try not to do too much. Is there'll always be stories, but I think it's important people make their own decisions about how they feel about people, and I would like to think that, you know, we've never, amongst any of the stories, suggested anyone should dislike anyone or think a certain way about someone, because it is important you create your own opinions and your own ideas based on what you see and how you feel about it. So I that's something that's important to me, because I have my own thoughts on some people and some things that happened in my time, but they're not relevant to you guys. And I hope that you guys are doing what you do. Jamie, shout out to Jamie, who again probably will never listen to this, but she's coming to our winter trainings, and it's really cool to be, you know, hanging out. Like I was in a group the other night, we were doing infield stuff, and it was really fun. And you know, there are some great people at the other clubs, and you're spot on, Lil. So glad you mentioned that. Favorite teammate? It's been a real challenge to get people not to mention the people like sitting with them. So I'm interested to hear what you guys say. But favourite teammates, and it might be one or two, but for a different reason.
I think I want to say Bron. She's only been there for a year, and we've always played against Bron and seen her as someone. But she's such a good teammate, and you can tell she's having so much fun. She loves it, and she wants to win, and she's got the white line fever. But you know, she'll make a play, and then she's laughing while she's still. It's so good having her around. I think Bron's great.
Yeah, she has. She's been a great addition, and from a teammate perspective, absolutely. Gab and Lil.
Oh, okay, I'll go.
I'm still thinking.
I'm gonna go. I don't know. It's such a hard question. There's every single person plays not a different role to me, but to everyone, and like you kind of need everyone. Like it's a team sport. You need everyone to play. You need everyone to work around. Even if you're not with everyone, you come together for the game. But I think Aspen's probably been there the longest for, I don't know, like just the vibes. But it's hard to say Gabby sitting across from me. But yeah, like I've lent on you so much, and you've always been. I didn't want to say you in the mentor part because it's embarrassing.
No, it's not. It's not at all.
Like, you like really stepped up and like took care of me, and you're my responsible adult and drove me around everywhere.
That's true.
Got me Starbucks. And but yeah, like really you have been there all the time, and it's just
Oh, that's
Thanks,
nice.
Lil. That's very sweet.
I'm not copping out, like it's real. She just happens to be across from me.
All right. I don't have just one. I think it's too hard. I think there's been too many people that have made such an impact. Especially, it depends what team you're playing to, I think, as well. You get different exposure to different people.
Yeah.
I think in the threes, for me, it probably would have been Robsy and Sue.
Yeah.
They just made it so easy for us kids to come in. Like, it's scary coming in to play senior baseball. When you look back on it, you're like, okay, like the level of baseball is obviously not as high as it feels like in the moment. But when you come into it, you're like, oh my God, this is hard. And then you progress and you get better, but it's because of people like that make you feel comfortable. And it was they just made you feel comfortable to show up as yourself and to make mistakes. And they would help teach you. Like, they weren't just there to have fun. They wanted you to learn and get better, but they were so supportive and made it really easy for all of us juniors to play. So that was really cool.
They're coming on in a few weeks. So.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a good episode.
Yeah.
And then some other ones, probably Shanna's. I think just that calming presence that she has, she's really easy. Like, if you're feeling a bit shit about what you've done, like, you might just go sit down her end and you just feel a little bit better. Sometimes she loses it and you're like, okay, don't sit down her end.
Oh my God.
You're like, okay, I'll go the other end. But when you need her, like, she's...
Even the icon loses it sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
But she picks it back up, so it doesn't matter. But she's really good. And then I think Huffy is one I didn't really get to play a lot with her, but she's a really good teammate. She just makes it simple. I remember one game, I went out and I was pitching in the ones and I started a bit shit. And she's like, just throw the ball. I was like, that's fucking simple advice, isn't it? And then I did that and it worked. So I was like, okay, cool. But she's been a good teammate.
Huffy.
Yeah. And then
Well done.
Cal Manzi as well was probably one who hasn't been around for a few years now. But she made a really big impact for me. When I came into the ones to pitch, she was the catcher. And I didn't even think about anything. I just threw whatever she put down there because I was like, cool, that's probably right. And I wasn't even thinking about any of that. And she made it, again, so simple and easy. Like, I wasn't thinking about anything when I was pitching, really.
Should have been very happy because I'd been pitching for years to her and I did the complete opposite and shook off every pitch she ever threw and it used to drive her nuts. But there's some good answers, girls. Well done. This is a hard one and it's really difficult and you guys have been around at a time where there's been lots of good players. But the best player you've played with at the club so far, do you think?
I'm not starting that question. Someone else.
Baylin.
First.
I think it's you, to be honest. Like, you've taught...
It's a great answer. Lil.
I realise I had to
I'm
elaborate
kidding.
on it. I think you've taught everyone so much and you just want everyone to play as well as they can. And you... Like that photo earlier from my threes grand final, if you don't win, it doesn't matter. And winning is great, it helps, but you say you're not going to win forever. And I think that's become, especially after winning last year and, the new teams coming into Division 1 and stuff, it's become a bit of a reality. And I think you seem happy about it, that there's more teams coming and it's going to be harder for us. And I think that's a good thing rather than being like, oh, shit, like, we're going to stop winning now. Like, I think it's good to want the competition to be better. And I think,
I love that you mentioned that and I'm very thankful and it makes me really happy to hear you talk about that because that is something that is important to me because we've had a great success, but I'm a massive sports follower. Of course, you're at my work and we're recording this at my work studio. And it's very hard to stay at the top in any sport at any level, whether it's grassroots level or elite level or anything. So the fact that we're sitting here all these years later and we've won so much and that we could never win again and I'd be totally okay with that and I'd still turn up to the club and love hanging out with everyone and I'd still want to get better and I'd still be trying to be old but find ways to get better and learn and help my team and even if we didn't win it'd still be fun and I love that it's getting harder and it's more challenging and that there's people like Lil who are coming in and going, making positions their own and want to, come in and start to, you said something earlier, I don't know what your wording was, but I've gone down a bit or something, and I don't think you have. And this is really important. I don't think anyone's mentioned this yet, but it has been hard for you guys because there's lots of very good players. Like, let's be honest. You're in a program where there's a lot of good players. Really, all three of you could just go play in the ones at any club and just walk in and play, in my opinion. And it's been harder. But I think that's actually more rewarding because A, you're learning from these amazing people and B, at the end of the day when it's harder and you get the reward, I think it's better. Enough of that, but thank you. That's lovely. You got the floor, Lil.
Well, Baylin really took the best answer there, I think.
you should have gone first.
Okay for it. I don't know, like, I could list you every single person who I've ever played with, really. And I will. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think I have to go. I think I have to go with like. Like, I don't know. I'm gonna say Shanna's.
Yeah.
But everyone as well. She's my icon.
Very
for a reason.
diplomatic.
Yeah, I love everyone equally. But I don't know. She's just, outfielder.
Yeah.
Slaytastic. Like, we get to play together now. Oh, I did last season. Like, it was just best experience ever. I remember we had one crossover.
Yeah.
And I think I remember I don't think Aspen was there or something. And she had to come off halfway through the game. So we just had me and someone in right field. But that was like the best moments of my life in that point. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm literally on the field with Shannon. So we're like playing together right now. I was like, I remember doing the warming up throw and being like, okay, you got it. Even still, I'm like, are you okay? Like, am I going to throw it okay to you? But like, I think I have to say her, not playing biased or anything.
No, that's really cool, and she'll love that. She probably doesn't get the credit. And there's probably a few players who don't get the credit they deserve as being the best players because there's so many good players. But I think she's a player who's contributed so much. And her outfielding we saw last year, obviously, it was so integral. So that's a really cool answer. Gab?
I would say in terms of like awe factor, it's 100% you. It's just since I was very little, I was like she's like the coolest. Like I want to be like her. Like she's a pitcher. She's the best. I just wanted to try and emulate that. Obviously, I've gotten a bit older now and I've grown out of that idolization a bit. What? That's not a bad thing. It's like you grow up.
It's fine.
I'm not sure that it's
funny.
true.
No, it is. It is. So you're definitely the best player I've played with in terms of that, like just wanting to sort of get to your level and have the privilege, I suppose, to play in that one's team and try to take your spot. Obviously, I haven't done that yet, but still working on it.
One day.
Keep trying.
One day, keep trying.
Come at me.
Yeah. But best player overall is probably, it's got to be Shay. Just what she's accomplished and the longevity that she's had in her career. She's been playing on the Australian team since before I was born and played in it a year ago. Like that's insane. Like what she's been able to do, and not only at the Australian level, which is like better than anyone's ever going to be able to do in this country ever again, but at a club level and to really bring that down through the state level where she teaches everyone on the state team so much about the game. It's almost like you've got an extension of the coaching staff. She then does that at a club level and she is involved in those Diamond Girl sessions or just local sort of coaching things and she offers that to everyone that she's definitely the best player in that regard and she comes up clutch for us time and time again. You sort of think, oh, like, this must be the time, where she doesn't. And then she just does it. Like she'll pull a hit from nowhere. She'll drive that low outside pitch and get a pokey little hit. Like she just works so hard at it. She's definitely got to be the best.
Yep. Funniest person at the club?
Ooh.
Can't say my own name.
That's so good. Why did I not think of that?
I think for me, it's Lil, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
To be honest,
She doesn't
like,
mean it though.
no,
Like-
you often don't mean it. Like you're sort of just being yourself, but it's just it's a little bit
Yeah.
like it's youthful and it's a bit different to a lot of other people and how they sort of act. But it's just you, and you're funny. Like even like
true.
people rock up in a shit mood, and you're just like out there doing your own thing, like having a dance, and it makes me feel better sometimes. I'm like, oh, it's just fun. Like it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
You just break the ice really well, I think.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good job, Lil. I think
Baylin?
Lil as well.
So,
2 votes.
Wow.
Lil
votes, Lil.
BT.
No pressure, but who's the funniest person to you?
that's Kat.
Oh yeah, she's a good one. Damn. Yeah.
Kat is hilarious.
Yeah, she is good.
Sheila
Yeah,
is.
damn.
Oh.
I don't know. It's hard.
No, you're right.
No,
That's a
Kat
good
is-
one.
She's taking back her.
I'm not taking it back, but she is a good one.
No, Kat is hilarious.
But I think, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think we're a pretty funny club. Like,
Yeah.
I think we'd win that award too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think everyone is so on board with me just, I don't know, saying stuff. And I like to make people, like, as much as, like, I didn't speak to people at the start, like, and people, like, you still call me shy and stuff like that, but I always try to, like, bring the, not, like, yeah, not, I'm not trying to, like, overdo it, but, like, I just want to make people happy, and I'm super, usually it's because I'm super stressed, so I'm, like, bringing out this nervous energy that's funny, but I think Kat is,
Yeah.
her bench talk.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
on that.
unmatched.
Yeah.
So good.
She's very funny
pretty
and
funny,
very
yeah.
Thank you, Lil. She is very funny. She's up there on my list too. But I think you know another really cool point you made is that people can be themselves. You know we'll poke fun at them sometimes. Absolutely, poor Sloan cops it a fair bit. But I mean, in her own way, Sloan's pretty funny. I think she's actually being dead serious.
Yeah.
But I think it's funny. But people can be themselves, and there is, there's a vibe about you, and I don't necessarily think you're deciding to bring a vibe. It's just it's just who you are naturally, and I think it's cool that you can be that person at the club because it's important that you can be yourself.
Whoa. No. That is like, what? Like, what?
You can't ask.
You can't ask me. This is like...
Favourite coach?
You go first this time, Gab.
Oh, it's too hard.
So many coaches.
There's been a lot of people. You can mention a couple if you think there's...
I think having Kat has been great. I think she hasn't been here long, but she essentially came back not knowing, at least us kids, she doesn't know us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having someone that doesn't know you is sometimes a good thing
Yeah.
because they're not blind to your flaws or anything like that. I think having Kat has been really fun.
Yeah.
And she wants to have fun. She loves winning and she's able to own when she fucks up. Which she has a few no. I'm saying that like she's owned it a few times.
And she has.
Called her out.
When she has, she's owned it.
Yeah.
And she's not shy
Yeah.
from...
No, she'll love you mentioning that. And I don't know if you watched her podcast, but she was so happy that she's come back and it's a different culture, like it's the same culture that was built all those years ago, but it's different people who are living out, the culture and... she's really embraced being part of something a bit different, but still the same, and she'll love that you mentioned her. So I think that's really cool. What about you guys?
I think Kat's been a really good one that's come on recently. I think Shay's been one of my favourites over the time. Sometimes she gives me too much. I'm like, Shay, I'm overwhelmed. I now can't think of anything you've said, and it usually takes a few years for what she's trying to teach me to sink in. I'm sorry about that.
So real.
I get there in the end, though. One day I'll be doing something. I'm like, oh, that's what she meant. I get it now. So she's been a big one and sort of just pushing everyone forward a little bit and taking me with her.
Yeah.
You've been a really big one for me, too, at the club. Sort of just telling me how it is a lot. Sort of gave me some harsher talks than probably most other coaches, but it's something that I wouldn't say I enjoyed them in the moment, but looking back and even at the time I was like, it's good because I want to be better, and you know what it takes for me to be better, and you're telling me, like, that's really showing a sign of respect of like, hey, like, you can be better, this is what you need to do. So I really appreciated that, I think, in the end, and that's been helpful for me. And probably one other one, not necessarily from the women's program, but Mick, I think he's similar, like he'll tell you how it is and very aggressively. Not so much anymore, but he has. But he's so knowledgeable and just, he gives you a shot, really. If you can do one thing, he's like, yep, go do it again. Go do it again. He gives you chances to play, and he's let me play a few different positions, which I've enjoyed. But there's like just this feeling of like freedom a little bit when you go out to play. Like you just feel competitive and you just want to go out there and win, which I've enjoyed.
Yep.
I mean, I think Shay's been a long time favourite just because of past and like stuff, but I think you're definitely Simone. I don't know. You just I mean, you have coach energy, one, but like.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
helpful.
that good, right?
That's great.
But I don't know. You're just. You like, you know, like you've told me like it is a few times. You've definitely had to say a few things sometimes, but you're very like, it's always so supportive, and you want everyone to play the best, and sometimes you really have to push it. But I think you've given me opportunities like this, like I said, I know you said there's no downs, but like you consistently like gave me chances and like wanted me to see me improve and like really want, I don't know, I'm not getting that cried across, but I think you know what I mean. And then I think, I could be wrong, but I think Mandy coached me in the threes. And I think she has to be one of my favourite coaches as well, or like just because that was kind of my first experience, and she's just such a champion of Springvale and the club, and taught me the culture. I'm like, want to do my part for the team because she does the part like like you said before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she just has to be on that list because she's always there. Even now, like on the bench, Div 1, and like she'll always be around the corner asking if you need water, and just taught me a lot of things too.
Yeah, cool. Good answers. I'm not sure who has an answer to this question, and probably Lil has the least history of hearing Mick do the circus sounds. I feel like Gab has the most history in hearing the music. Are there any things that come to mind for any of you? And I'm going to go to you first, Gab, because potentially there is when you look at this question.
Of my own, like, circus music moment?
No, it could have been happened to anyone.
But okay. For anyone, I'll throw it back to Hanami. We were in the twos playing a game. I think it was when Shay was coaching the twos for us. Or she was at least there. And Hanami was at first base. We were hitting. And she's ended up in a rundown because she mucked up on a fly ball or something, didn't tag up, whatever. And she's ended up in this rundown, and it went for felt like 5 minutes, but it would have been like 30, 40 seconds, but up and back, up and back, up and back. And there was like 5 or 6 different chances where she could have gone to either base safely. And she's ended up just exhausted and fell over and they tagged her. And we were like, yeah, whoops. And she just walked back to the dugout. And she's like, I don't need to hear about it. So that's probably one of someone else. One for myself, there's been many, to be honest. But one would probably be I was pitching. I'm not sure what division it was, 2 or 1. And there was a pop-up and I went to go catch it. And I missed it. And I missed it pretty bad. I think I might have not used 2 hands or something. And then you let me have it. I remember there's photos of not you letting me have it, but of me missing it.
I've seen that photo somewhere.
Yeah.
I should have put that on.
I think it might have been like right on the mound too. It was bad. And you were like, you cannot miss them. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And I haven't really missed one since.
No, you've been very good with pop-ups.
But that's probably a circus moment because I was like, uh-oh. That's not good.
Any from you guys?
Unfortunately, yes. It was actually, I didn't think of it until Gabby mentioned pop-ups, actually. It was not long after you'd thrown me a first base glove. And I must have been playing twos, maybe. I don't know. And this pop-up went up, and Maddie was pitching, and I was like, oh, she's got it. And I just stood there. Anyway, it ended up landing about a step in front of me. And I think a lot of people yelled at me and asked what the hell I was doing. And I didn't really.
And you pointed at Maddie and blamed her.
Well, she was also like a step in front of me, so I don't know what happened there. It was a low point for me. It's okay. I haven't made that mistake since.
Great.
So
all of mine, I have made that mistake again and again. Things not adding up. Yeah, a lot came to my mind very easily.
Me too,
Great,
though.
isn't it? I could list a few. One, it always happens at Doncaster. It always happens with Doncaster because one is. I'm trying to think of the nicest one that happened. One was when it must have been one of my early games, Div 1. I don't know why I was there. But it was in Doncaster and I threw it and it went so far over Chevy. I was in right field and I threw it so far over Chevy's head for like, it wasn't even 9-3. I don't know what happened, but it just went so far. And then another time, I don't remember. I think I was trying to make another 9-3. And that was last season. That was a bad game for me to start because I also accidentally tried to steal on Jamie because I was feeling very confident and had just done that practice that morning. And obviously Jamie's going to throw me out no matter where I am. And I think I fell over and then got tagged out. And then another one was at Footscray and I lost. This was also last
I remember
season.
that one.
And I dropped been a really easy catch. I was running back slightly, but I made it there on time, and then it just kind of dropped it. And Shannon was in centre field, and I could have started crying then. And Shay did the...
The classic, did she take the hat off?
Did she take it out
she
off?
took the hat off.
Kick the Kick the dirt.
That's happened many times.
Yeah.
I did recover from that one and I made a good play after. But
Yay.
oh, another one was Doncaster and Bron got me out. This is the grand final. And the ball, this is so bad. You just reel this all up. And the ball was, I was on base. No, I don't think we'd had someone on second base yet. I think it was one of the first hits before yours.
Yep, you were the first person. Yeah.
And I forgot that you should wait until the ball is past the third base to run. And Bron got me out immediately.
That one's etched in my memory. I must
Yeah,
also
That was
say.
a good day. That was
Simone
a...
being very angry. Not angry, but disappointed.
Oh, that's worse.
That's worse.
After chat, because I was visibly upset, obviously, I'm always upset, aren't I? But yeah, and you stared right in the eyes as you said, and young people, they just need to step up and learn.
It's when you need the sunglasses on.
Yeah.
Oh, that game we lost at Essendon, and
Oh, it's like 21-3.
21-3.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was a
That
bad
was
one.
when all the older people went there. And
That was the
really gotta
circus
start-
music game for
You've got to
us.
start stepping up, and we're not always going to be there.
Yeah,
That was
because that
not
was
Shay.
when Shay had hurt her foot on that
was
night
Shay.
out. And so she wasn't playing, but she was there.
And Shanna's wasn't either. They were
Yes.
both in the dugout.
And Chevy
Yeah.
wasn't playing either.
Yeah, I think she'd hurt her back or something. And Maddie started the game. I was at second base, and then we couldn't get out of the first innings.
No.
And then I came in.
There was one old person because I was playing first.
And then I came into pitch, and then Mo came into pitch, and
Yeah.
we were just awful.
It was
Just a shit day, and Shay started putting her cleats on. And we're all looking over like, oh, we're in trouble.
That was
the
a bad
train-
day.
and
That was
the next
real bad.
training was
I
Yeah.
thought you were going to say that was a train wreck, and it was.
It
It was a train wreck, yeah.
It was a train wreck.
That was a bad one.
Yeah, that's the circus music game.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that for mine.
Oh.
I think
Oh, I only gave us
the
a couple.
viewers can pick a few.
Yeah, pick your favourite.
They've got some more lined up.
I love that, Lil. That was excellent. Well done to all of you. I want to say a big thank you. It's been our longest podcast, but there's 3 of you. So it was always going to be, sorry, Sid.
No cuts, no edits.
No cuts, no edits
One take.
required.
One take.
We've got our function coming up. We've got 2 functions, actually. The Friday night on the 31st, we're going to have a reunion at our favourite place, the Waltzing.
Ooh,
And I better see your parents there.
I'll try.
So this is, of course, Matt will be there. Jeanette will be there. But we want to get as many people who've been involved at the club there. And then on the Sunday, we're going to have a 50th anniversary function at the men's game with some food and hang out.
Quiet waters.
Few quiet waters. Is there anything, before we
Few
finish
legends.
up, is there anything else that you guys want to say about the club or about your time so far? Because this is really, I'm sitting here as someone who's been around for 30 years. You guys haven't been around for very long, really, at all. I think this year coming up is Gab's 10th year and your 9th year. So nearly 10 years for you guys and 5 or 6 for Lil. So you've been involved for a little while, but I think in 30 years' time, one of you will be sitting where I am doing the talking.
Probably Gabby.
Yeah.
Probably
Go,
Gab.
Gabby.
Yeah.
And
I think we know who it's going to be.
But yeah, anything you want to add or say before we finish?
I don't know. I think Springvale has a little rep for like the togs. Like, I think we have a rep of having like a slightly older, but that's just because I was gonna say y'all. So I realized probably shouldn't say that. Like every single one, like the older people are like so decorated with achievements of baseball and stuff. But there is a group of like, I mean, you kids, we're adults, but like, you know, coming through, and it's, I don't think people think about that enough, that we do have a, like, you know, we are making our way through and stuff like that.
Agree, Lil.
I don't
Well
know,
said.
Yeah.
Well said.
Someone else goes.
Would you like me to speak?
Yeah, you go.
I'd just like to say that I'm really appreciative for all the opportunities that I've had and that all the kids have sort of been afforded to learn from people who've played at such a high level, but also just everyone in the program. You know, everyone's working a different job. They're like, you've got people in trades, people who work in offices, people who are teachers, police officers, like every field you can imagine. And Jacko's like, he's a crime lady. But to have that opportunity at such a young age to be exposed to all these different people has just been such a valuable experience off the field as well. It's really shaped who I am as a person and has helped me along the way. But also the support that everyone's shown to all of us has been massive for our development as people and as baseball players. And that encouragement to show us what the Springvale way is, like this is how we go about it from day dot. Like that's the way you learn, right? Like someone shows you, hey, after the game, we're going to rake the field. That's what we do. We all go and rake the field. We all go and clean up. And then I go, okay, cool, that's what we do here. So I'm going to do that too. Mm-hmm. And then when new kids come and they're my friends, I'm like, hey, let's go rake the diamond because that's what we do. Sort of helps us pave that way and sort of continue the culture. That's been a really important part to your success, at least from what we've heard. Like it seems to me like that's been a massive part of it. It's not just the actual baseball skill, it's the culture and the work ethic that's actually gone into it. So to be a small part of that within the 30 years and to sort of come in at the tail end of what's been the peak of your guys' playing careers, and even after some of these people have finished playing, and to hear the stories about them has just been such a cool experience, especially for me, cause considering how involved I am with the club. It's probably been a massive catalyst for the reason that I am involved in it, because I'm like, this is really cool. Like, all these people have these lifelong friends and such great experiences in life. I want to be part of that, so I jump in where I can. And I remember there was a trip we went to Bali with the diamonds and the rough stuff, and I don't know if you remember this, but it was you, me and Gossie, who's part of the program, I suppose.
She's played for Springvale.
There you go.
Yep.
And she was saying, I don't know, we were chatting about something, and she was like, you'll be the next president of the club. And I was like, yeah, I probably will. And then, like, I'm working towards that, and at some point I probably will end up doing that and taking on a lot of roles that you currently take on. So I just think it's really cool to be able to sort of see that happening and to be able to celebrate the history of such a great program that really is unparalleled within the country, let alone maybe the world for local sports.
Very
I
cool.
think as well, I think it's not only been a club that's welcomed us as obvious kids. There's, such a big age gap between essentially us and everyone else. I think you've really welcomed our parents as well, especially they've been such at the start, probably before Lil came, when there was us, the five of us, M and H and Maddie as well. You'd look over and while we're playing there's a line of parents because everyone's parents are there and they were all friends and
all in those black chairs.
Yeah, I think you've been so great not only to us but our parents, and our parents keep, we can all drive ourselves, but our parents keep coming back and watching as well.
Well, yours do.
Jeanette comes.
Yeah, Matt's there.
Jeanette comes.
Yeah, Matt comes.
So they all
Matt
Just
comes.
away.
Matt's travelling.
Matt chooses to go to work
Instead of
overseas instead.
Yeah.
Pick your priorities, Matt.
Come on.
But no, in all seriousness,
yeah.
you're spot on, and I love that you mention that, but I also love that, again, your parents come up, because for you three in particular, your parents have been great support networks for you guys, but for the club. So again, before we finish, another shout out to the amazing parents. But a big thank you to you guys for coming in and giving up your time to talk and share your stories, because your stories are no less important than the stories from the girls who were playing 30 years ago, and I hope you know that, and that we all love you, and here's to the next 30 years.
Ooh.
Woohoo!
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No worries. Thanks.
Always.